We be live. Shalom, shalom, and Happy New Year, especially to the Iranians in the live chat. Happy New Year, guys. Noruzatun Piruz. No, not Eid. Noruzatun Shadbash. We're trying to use everything Persian here. Guys, have you liked the stream? This is okay. So I'm Iranian, guys. So you could get me an Iranian New Year gift right now by liking the stream. Everyone, today is more important than everybody, any day, for you to like the stream because it's New Year in Iran, and you need to get me a like. Okay, so like the stream as a way to wish me a happy New Year. Let me see Iranian in the live chats. Where the Iranians in the live chats? Raise your hand. Say Happy New Year. Happy Nowruz. Yes, Sarah, Happy Nowruz, my fellow Iranians. Yes, liked it. Thank you, guys. Like the stream. Okay, good. Guys, make sure you like the stream, especially because today. Oh, Happy New Year, Mohsen, Sarah, everyone else. Oh, yeah, Happy Nowruz. Nima, Happy Nowruz. This is great. Oh, thank you, guys. Vic is saying Happy New Year, Armin, and all the Iranians in the chat. Well, thank you, guys. That's very sweet. Oh, thank you, guys. That's very sweet. And also, Jean is here. Jean, hi. Jean is highlighting the comments for us. So thank you so much for doing that, Jean. That's very, very much appreciated. Mohsen, Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you. Guys, today the stream is very, very important because I am determined to make you guys who are watching this stream PhD level experts in Iranian politics. Okay, that's what you get from watching this stream. And today, I am going to show you stuff that you're not going to see in anywhere else on English media, and you're going to appreciate the level of detail and nuance that we're going to get into. All right, again, guys, this is I have decided that this channel is, instead of going for maximum viewership, we're going for maximum nerdiness in Iranian politics. And I know a lot of people do not appreciate that because they're like, this is a little bit too much detail for my taste. I just want surface level shit. But not on this channel, In this channel, we're going to go into the infighting between the details of the infighting, not between the Iranian people, the liberal-minded, secular-minded, and sometimes and very often anti-religious-minded Iranian people and their theocratic government. No. That is too basic. That is already everybody. When we used to say that the Iranian people are like anti-religion, they want secularism, they're mostly liberal. That was 10 years ago that we were saying this on this channel. Now everybody knows this. Back then we were saying it. People are like, no, Armin, you're exaggerating. It's not like this. Now everybody is saying it. We're not even going to talk about the infighting between the regime officials, between the reformers and the hardliners. No. That is also old news. That is very old news. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about reformers and hardliners fighting, okay? Let alone that basically they're on the same team, but never mind that. Today, we are going to show you the eventual, the inevitable, the promised surfacing of the infighting between the hardliners and the hardliners. And today is the day that I'm going to tell you, I told you so. Did I not tell you? How many years ago I told you this is happening behind the scenes, and eventually this will surface and it will be happening right in front of our eyes? These are the things that we were telling you on this channel that was happening behind the scenes, and eventually it will become public, and the fighting will not be behind the scenes anymore. It will be public. And the things that they're fighting about are exactly the things that on this channel we were told you they were fighting about. And now it has become public. And I have so many videos. They're all coming at the same time out, and it's fantastic. It's glorious. It's so beautiful to watch them turning on each other because I also told you guys on this channel, if the Iranian regime topples, this is what causes it. Did I not tell you that? I told you that, I don't know, if United States does a military attack on the Islamic Republic, that will help, maybe. Yeah. We don't know that will happen. We don't. If Israel does it, if United States does it, that might help. It obviously has an effect, but it's not going to be the determining factor. We don't know if it will happen, if it will not happen, if it will happen. Yeah. More importantly than that, if millions of Iranians come to the streets and protest, obviously that's going to be a major factor. But is it going to be the final push? Is it going to be the main thing that the Islamic Republic is afraid of? No. I mean, that is very important, and the regime is afraid of that. Let's be honest, okay? But the main reason why these two have an effect is the third one: is the regime hardliners turning against each other, because that is what eventually will be the downfall of the regime. Okay, and it is happening. And you know how I told you those two other things influence this third one? Now, instead of hearing it from me, yes, sir, you're going to hear it from the mouth of the mullahs themselves. So this is not going to be this anti-Islamic, anti-regime Iranian with his biased narratives coming and telling you these things. I told you guys that, guys, you do not believe me. One day I will play the videos of these very mullahs telling you the same thing I'm saying. So now you would know that everything I was telling you all this time, because you cannot trust me, I'm biased, guys. I'm biased. I'm biased against Islam, and I'm biased against the Islamic Republic, the regime. So am I a good source to evaluate whether or not all of this is true? No, because you could be like, Armin, well, Armin might be exaggerating these things. And you would be, honestly, if you were skeptical about how accurate these things were, that your skepticism was justified, because, my bias against the regime, against Islam, might give you the wrong analysis. That's why I always told you, don't trust me. Trust what I show you. Don't trust me. Don't trust Armin. Trust what Armin shows you, because I will show you the regime officials saying these things themselves. Let's start light, and then we keep escalating. How about, actually, let's start with this one. I have so much to show you guys. I have so much. Wait, hold on. Jean's saying they are like the Real Housewives of New Jersey, only with boring clothes. Yeah, okay. Yes, and a country as hostage. Exactly. Jean, put that in the chat so other people can see it as well. You have great comments. Put it in the live chat and star it. That's so other people can see your great comments as well. Let me see. Yes, okay. So this was played. So guys, we're gonna start light, and then we're gonna go into the higher and higher above, and we're gonna get to the highest regime officials. Okay, so let's start with this guy. But by the way, this mullah, this Akhund, is a very famous one, and they had him on Iranian TV talking, and this is what he said. And again, guys, right after he said this, apparently they kicked him out of the TV, and for him never to be returned again on TV again. So let's watch this.
بالاخره پس از سالها یک روحانی به دور از شعار دادن این سوال رو در پخش زنده تلویزیونی مطرح.
Okay, so this was live on Iranian national TV. Okay, so he asked this question. So and this was quite recent, guys. I'm not bringing you old stuff. I'm bringing you the most recent, the juiciest stuff. Okay, so he asked this on Iranian national
کرد و بعد اون هم بلافاصله از برنامه حذف شد.
Okay, so they actually canceled him from this program as soon as he said this. By the way, this was live, so they couldn't have censored him. This is so great. This was being broadcasted live.
سوال رو بشنویم و شما هم نظرتون رو برای ما.
So let's see what he said on TV that got him canceled.
فرض بگیریم امشب همه ما که خوابیدیم صبح بلند بشیم ببینیم هیچ کدوم از نسخه های قرآن تو جامعه ما نیست.
So he's saying, imagine if you sleep tonight. Guys, again, this is a mullah saying this on Iranian national TV. He says, imagine if you sleep tonight, and then you wake up in the morning, and once you wake up in the morning, you see in our society in Iran, there is not a single Not a single copy of the Quran anywhere to be found. Do you guys know where he's getting with this? Watch. Guys, guess where he's getting with this before he says it, okay?
یعنی قرآن به شکل فیزیکی و به شکل ذهنی بالکل از جامعه بشریت حذف بشه.
Oh, no. He clarified. He says, no, what I mean is that imagine if all physical Qurans and all Qurans in the minds of people is all eliminated. You wake up from the entire human civilization, from the human society. Like you sleep at night, you wake up in the morning, and there's no Quran, neither physical or in people's minds. There is not a single Quran left. Okay, so imagine that. Okay, so what do you think he's going to say? What do you think he's going to say? Let's continue.
به نظر شما تو زندگی ماها چه تأثیری داره؟
He said he asked this question. He says, what do you think the impact of that would be on our lives? Guys, what do you think the answer is going to be?
من در محضر امیرالمومنین شهادت میدم هیچ.
He says, I swear to Amir al-Mu'mineen, to Imam Ali, which is the holiest figure among Shias and Muslims. He says, I swear to Imam Ali, in front of Imam Ali, that nothing will change. Nothing will change. He's basically saying that we in Iran, people are so divorced from Islam that deleting the Quran completely has no effect on the Iranian people. Sarah's like, words. Yeah. It's like, this is guys, remember you guys thought I'm exaggerating these things? Am I exaggerating? Like this, I'm not saying the anti-Islamic Armin Navabi is not saying that to you. This is a mullah on national TV in Iran telling you this. Okay, watch this now.
وزارت اقتصاد ما هیچ تغییری نمیکنه.
It's like the ministry of our economics would not change. Our economics basically would not change.
خانواده های ما تقریبا هیچ تغییری نمیکنن.
Our families will never have no change. Like basically in Iran, there would be no change in the way families are.
این جملات شما هر کدومش پتک سنگینه.
بفرمایید بسنجید.
So the TV host is saying every single one of the words you're saying is like a dagger being hit on our head. Okay.
من حتی یه چیز بالا.
And so the mullah is saying like, okay, well, you come and observe, like you could come and evaluate if I'm wrong. Like he's challenging the host, like, oh, like if I'm wrong, tell me.
بالاتری به شما بگم حتی حوزه های علمیه.
Oh, now the mullah is escalating. He's like, I will actually take it one step further. If you remove the Quran from society, I would tell you that our religious seminaries will not change either.
ما هم تغییری نمیکنه.
ولی خیلی
بیننده ها فکر کنن.
Like he's saying I would let the viewers to judge.
فرض بگیریم که قرآن دیگه نیست.
He's like, let's imagine that there's no more Quran. Okay, so I'm starting light, by the way, guys. I'm starting light. Okay, so that's one. Okay, by the way, they kicked him out of TV. They canceled him after this when he said that. Okay, guys, they're censoring mullahs. They're censoring mullahs in Iran. Okay, so the situation right now in the regime in Iran is that mullahs are saying things that are considered anti-Islamic and anti-regime narrative. Okay, so free the mullahs. Let them say what they want. Free speech for mullahs in Iran. Let the mullah speak. Hashtag let the mullah speak. All right, let's see what this one says. Oh, this is an Imam Jum'ah. So this is a Friday prayer Imam. Let's see what this one says. Okay, so guys, we're going to keep getting more. Let me actually, because these are lower officials compared to the people that I have coming for you. Let me actually do Galibov closer to last, because the last one that I want to show you is the most escalating one. Okay, so watch this. Now let's watch this. Who is okay, that's
یک فضایی بر جامعه ما حاکم شده که برای اجرای قانون عفاف و حجاب بعضی ها دلشون میلرزد.
Okay, so this is important. This is a good way to get ready for what's about to come. Okay, so this Friday prayer imam, and remember, Friday prayer imams are all handpicked by the supreme leader in Iran. They're considered to be a mouthpiece of the narratives that the supreme leader wants to set across the land. So he's saying that we are in a type of an environment right now in our society in Iran, that a type of environment has been ruling over us right now, that this is the key part, that some people, when it comes to enforcing the hijab laws, their hearts are shaking. Basically, he's saying the simplified translation of that is that the officials are too afraid to enforce the hijab laws. Guys, is this not what, like, are you not, have I not been telling you these things, right? Have I been, because a lot of you think that I come here and I just tell you biased stuff. I told you that the reason in Iran you're seeing so many Iranian women without the hijab is not because the regime doesn't want to enforce the hijab laws. It's because they are afraid to enforce the hijab laws. Okay, so now everything I've been telling you for the past couple of years on this channel is now being verified by the freaking mullahs themselves. Okay, so that's what he's saying. So watch this. So Amikai is saying, does that mean that the supreme leader is actually saying that? It means that it's in line. It's very, most often, not always, most often it means that it's in line with what the supreme leader wants it to be said around the country. Sometimes that's not true. For example, I always give the example of the Friday Imam prayer of Mashhad, Alamul Huda. When they become so powerful, sometimes they become a challenge to the supreme leader himself. Okay, but sometimes that's not the case. So it's not a rule, but it is an indication. So yes. Oh, so here's an important, this is a good introduction to things I'm about to show you. So watch this part. Listen to this part. No, so some people, was he canceled too? No. He's on the other side. So he is not, this imam is actually, so guys, let me give you the 101, right? We have hardliners right now who are trying to say that we should be enforcing the hijab laws as aggressively as possible. We should be answering to Israel as aggressively as possible. 2, 3, there should be no negotiations with the supreme leader. Okay, there should be no negotiation between the supreme leader. Khamenei says there should be no negotiation with Trump. So these are the 3, but some other hardliners are on the other side of this. They're saying that we can't enforce the hijab laws. This is not the right time to aggressively attack Israel, and we have no choice but to actually negotiate with Trump. Okay, so these are the 2 types of hardliners. What does the supreme leader position is? Regarding these 2 positions, the supreme leader's Ali Khamenei's position himself is yes to both. He tries to speak in a way that is vague enough for him to be able to have both sides of the hardliners. Because if he takes one side very directly, very transparently, then half of these hardliners might get disappointed with the supreme leader. So he speaks in a way sometimes that is kind of like the Quran, basically, meaning that he leaves it up to interpretation so that both sides could say that the supreme leader is with us, so that he gets to keep both sides of the hardliners. But okay, so let's watch the rest of this because this part is important. So this is very important. Guys, the whole point of Islam, according to the hardliners that want all the hijab laws to be enforced, is that this is not about A lot of you think that enforcing the hijab laws is mostly about, oh, women should not be seen, their hair shouldn't be seen. If you see women without hijab, this could be tempting people, and men shouldn't be tempted in the streets and stuff. That's not what this is. All this is about. There's 3 layers to this. Okay, there are some Iranian radical Muslim religious people, especially religious women, who they want hijab laws to be enforced because they think, like, I don't know, their husband is going to go and look at other girls and they don't want that. They're jealous, blah, blah, blah. They think like the foundation of the family. Some other religious people are saying, oh, this is going to basically attack the foundations of the family, and stuff like that. That's one reason why some hardliners want the hijab laws to be enforced. The second group of people want the hijab laws to be enforced because if the hijab laws are not enforced, it shows that the regime is too weak to enforce its own laws, and it's going to embolden the Iranian people to actually ask for more, or basically see the regime as weak and basically take more harder positions against the regime. They see the hijab as the flag of and the symbol of the Islamic Republic, and having the hijab everywhere shows that the regime is present and the regime is watching and the regime has control over the society. That's the second group. But the third group, and the most religiously accurate group, by religiously accurate, I'm not specifically talking about Islam. I'm talking about Khomeini's Velayat Faqih version of Ethna Ashari Shia Islam. So these are the third group. They make a religious argument that the whole point of Islam is having an Islamic government in which the laws of Allah are being enforced. So it's not even about the hijab. It's about the religious duty of every Muslim is to establish a society where the laws of gods are being enforced. So this is an actual necessity of every Muslim's duty. It's not just about hijab. It's about every law of God it's a mandatory for every Muslim to want to bring about a government, not a caliphate. That's Sunni in their minds, an imamate, right? So we have an imamate for Shias and a caliphate for the Sunnis, right? So we have the ummah or ummat, which is the religious community, the Muslim community, governed by a caliphate if you're Sunni, or an imamate if you're Shia, and the mandate, what God has made it mandatory for every Muslim is to want to bring an order in which under that order the God's laws are being enforced. So he's saying that, so when the presidency or the parliament, the Majlis in Iran, is not enforcing the hijab law, this is this is not just a violation of Iranian law. This is a violation of the laws act within the fabric of the goddamn universe. Do you understand so if a president, for example, says we can't, or if the head of the parliament, which I will show you, comes and says like, we cannot enforce these laws, they're not just standing against the Iranian government in their minds. They're not just standing against the Mehdi's government to be in their mind. They're standing in front of God, in front of what is natural within the fabric of the universe. They're violating the universe. Okay, that's how they see it. Okay, so میخواهن حکم خدا اجرا بشه. Okay, so وقتی که ما سکوت کنیم بذار. Okay, listen to this.
اجرا بشه. وقتی که ما سکوت کنیم به ضد انقلاب عرصه بدیم اون موقع.
By the way, everything I just told you is going to be confirmed in the videos that I'm about to show you. Okay. Oh, so he actually said he actually mentioned the second reasoning here as well. So he mentioned the third one and the second one. He said if we basically cower and do not enforce these laws, they're going to be more aggressive and they're going to go into an offense. Okay. Let me hold on. Who's this guy? Okay, let me show you this guy. let me see what you guys are saying in the chat first. By the way, guys, we accept super chats here. If you guys want to send super chats, we would be welcome. I will read the super chats between these videos. But these are the comments that Derek has started. Derek is saying France has called on all the citizens to leave Iran. Okay, that's interesting. I will look it up. Ziv is saying, have you seen what happened in Turkey? Yes, of course. Of course. But guys, this, Gene, if you can, start the comments that are more relevant to the topic at hand. What was saying, the regime crumbling from within? Well, I mean, if it does crumble from within, this is the signs of the beginning of it, right? This is how it will happen. And also, something reboot Islam. Okay, the hijab and the imama must fall down in the same time. The hijab and the imama must fall down in the same time. Yeah, okay. I mean, the hijab is the tool for us to do such a thing, right? So let's watch this one. This is interesting.
داریم که در زمانی که وجود داشته اون زمان احکام رایج بوده. رواج حیثیت تقییدیه حکم بوده. این حکم چون رایج بوده شرع امضا کرده.
So this imam, now guys, we're going from one side to another side. So this imam is saying when the hijab laws was being enforced, this was prevalent in society. So if you want to enforce the hijab law, it needs to be at a time where it's completely everybody is doing it. So watch this. Yeah, guys, please like this stream. Liking the stream helps us so more people see this. Again, guys, these are detailed stuff you're not going to see anywhere else. So please like the stream so that more people see it. Okay, so watch this. What he saying?
حالا دیگه رایج نیست. و این الان خلاف
Oh, he's saying, but now it's not prevalent.
عدله. اگر بخواهن فقه منزوی نشه و برای همیشه مورد نفرت عمومی قرار نگیره باید به همین شیوه اجتهاد بشه. مگر هر واجبی باید بیاد تو قانون؟ آیا حج
This mullah is saying if you want for the religion not to be isolated and hated, we should not be doing this.
امضا کرده. حالا دیگه رایج نیست. و این الان خلاف عدله. اگر بخواهن فقه منزوی نشه.
So he's saying this is against justice. He's basically saying enforcing the hijab laws is now against justice because it's not common in society. And he says, by the way, Sarah is saying it's too late, babe. Yeah, exactly. Because people in Iran hate Islam now more than ever. So yeah, you're 10 years too late, sir. But he's saying we should stop. We shouldn't be enforcing this stuff because that's going to make people hate Islam.
عدله. اگر بخواهن فقه منزوی نشه و برای همیشه مورد نفرت عمومی قرار نگیره باید به همین شیوه اجتهاد بشه.
He's saying we should basically be just using ijtihad. He's saying that we shouldn't be making hijab mandatory. We should just keep telling people what's good and what's bad, and we shouldn't make it mandatory. Because if we continue doing this, people are going to hate Islam forever. That's what he's saying. Yeah, guys, that's not what I'm saying. That's what he's saying. Mullah, guys, mullahs are admitting what Armin Navabi has been telling you for the past couple of years on this channel. This is my New Year gift to you. Okay, you can't look at their weakness. Look at how they're retreating, licking their wounds. This is a gift from me to you guys on New Year. So watch this. Okay, so this line was very interesting. He's like, do you really think that everything that is mandatory in Islam has to be turned into law? Basically, he's saying no. He's saying just because something in Islam is mandatory, it doesn't mean that it has to be turned into law. Wow. Watch this. Oh, he's saying, isn't Hajj basically going to the Kaaba for every Muslim they can? Isn't that mandatory Islam? He's basically suggesting that we didn't turn that into law. We didn't make people going to Kaaba at least once in their life if they can capable. That's Hajj, one of the principles of Islam that every Muslim, if capable, is supposed to do. He said we didn't make that mandatory. We didn't. It's mandatory Islamically, but we didn't put it into law. So he's saying, then why are we putting hijab into law? That's what he's saying.
تمام حساب‌های بانکی بانک باید گزارش بده به یک مرکزی که این آقا اینقدر پول داره و میتونه بره مکه. خلاف عقل، خلاف خرد.
He's like, for example, Hajj, going to the Kaaba, is mandatory for every Muslim that has the financial means to go there at least once, okay, to go on a pilgrimage to the Kaaba, right? So he's saying if we wanted to make everything that is mandatory in Islam into law, then what we should have done is that the government should have looked into the bank account of everybody and see how much money they have, and if they have enough money, we should have made it mandatory for them to go to the Kaaba, but we don't do that. So he's saying, he's trying to come up with an analogy to say then therefore we shouldn't make the hijab, we shouldn't put that into the law as well.
میگه همه واجب ها رو باید الزام کرد. اگه کسی میخواد حکومت اسلامی تشکیل بده، باید این رو برای خودش حل کنه. که یک سری واجب
Like if anybody wants to have an Islamic government, they should solve this problem.
است که کرام الکاتبینه. ضامن اجراش دست خداوند.
Like so this is the problem that everybody has to solve. There are certain things that are mandatory in Islam, but the entity that is going to enforce that is Allah. So basically what he's suggesting is that it's being mandatory doesn't mean that the religious government should be enforcing it. That means that God has made it mandatory for you, and this is a relationship between you and God. Basically, if you don't do it, God will punish you. You will be punished for it in the afterlife. This is not the responsibility of a religious government to enforce it. This is basically is mandatory based on the God had mandated to you as an individual, and this is your relationship with God. So let's continue. Guys, where were these people for the past 40 years? This is, by the way, this is all bullshit. This is, guys, they are saying this. Let me be clear. Because a lot of you might like, oh, well, this is good. I like this guy. I mean, I don't like this guy, but it's good if he's saying that, okay? Guys, they haven't been saying these things for the past 40 years in Iran. Why are they saying this now? And this is why a lot of people are like, okay, so Armin, you're against Islamic reform. But look at this. Some mullahs are saying things that with Islam, we could have Islam and not enforce these laws. I mean, isn't this progress? No, you idiots. This is not progress from within. This is a defense mechanism in reaction to forces from outside. Because if you were anybody who's stupid enough to think like, oh, this is a sign that we could actually be hopeful from Islam to be reforming, is not paying attention to what the fuck is happening. Because when they have the upper hand, they never say shit like this. It's only when other people from outside are threatening them, and eventually when the people who are against Islam get the upper hand, and when they are being defeated, and when they are at the point of being completely eliminated and becoming irrelevant, they come out and say these things to remain relevant. So that this is a survival mechanism. This is not because people don't, when you have the power, you don't reform from within and reduce your influence. It's the other way around. When your influence is being taken away from you, you pretend to be reforming so that you get to remain relevant, and you should let them. Like this should not make you happy. When you are fighting a dragon, if the dragon is injured, you don't go home. When the dragon is injured, you finish the job, right? Because the dragon, if it's injured and it's not a threat right now, it might recover and then come back at you at some point. Because they have proven that if this is their face right now, if they get the upper hand at some point, they will eventually go back to enforcing everything. Okay, so don't be fooled by shit like this. I am welcoming this, not because I'm welcoming this mullah. This mullah would not say these things if they had the upper hand. I am welcoming this because this is a demonstration of their weakness, that the people are winning. Do you understand the difference? Nobody should be accepting Islamic reform. Islamic reform is an indication that anti-Islamic battle is winning. But that's why when we see people trying to reform Islam, we get happy that the anti-Islamic fight is working, but we don't welcome the reform itself, because the reform itself is a defense mechanism trying to reduce the effects of the anti-Islamic battle. Pay attention to what's happening here. So let's listen to the rest of this.
قواعدی که باید روش فکر بکنه، به نظر شخصی من میگه قواعدی که در مقابلش به قول تعبیری که در درون روایات ما آمده اذا نهینا لا ینتهینا نشه. یعنی چه؟ در مورد همین حجاب هستن. میدونید شما این روایت سئل عن رسول الله ان نظر الی النساء.
Okay, he's speaking Arabic, reminding all of us that these people are not reflective of the Iranian people. So he's basically saying, he's giving us the Quranic references and the Hadith references, and he's saying it in Arabic. They read it in Arabic and then they translate it into Persian for the rest of us. Okay, but every time they speak Arabic, it's a good because most Iranian people don't speak Arabic, the vast majority of them, and even the Arabs in Iran, the minority of Arabs that we have in Iran, they speak Persian because they're Iranians. So when you speak Arabic, you're basically reminding us that you are not representative of the Iranian people, because why are you speaking Arabic? We have no idea what the hell are you talking about. Speak Persian.
الاعرابی خانم های دهاتی تو بازار مدینه چیزی میفروختن، از پیغمبر فرمودن اینا سرسینشون لخته، سرشون هم بازه، ما میتونیم.
Okay, so he's giving now he's giving us a Persian version. I think it's a hadith, because they asked Muhammad. He's saying he's giving a hadith to reflect the sunnah, the traditions of Muhammad, the things that he said during his time. He's saying that villagers, women back in Muhammad's time, villagers, when they come to the bazaar to buy things, they had naked head, meaning that they had no hijab, and naked chests. Apparently they were topless, okay, back in Muhammad's time, and they were coming there and buying stuff. And I think when he says villagers, guys, I think he means slaves, okay? I think he means slaves, but he's changing slaves to villagers, because that would be a reminder that Islam has slavery, because it's so let's see what Muhammad said, and then I will clarify if he's meaning slaves or not. By the way, people in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong about this.
خانم های دهاتی تو بازار مدینه چیزی میفروختن، از پیغمبر فرمودن اینا سرسینشون لخته، سرشون هم بازه، ما میتونیم نگاه به اونا بکنیم یا نه؟ اونا سرشون بازه، کسی اجبار نداره بهشون بکنه. اولا معلوم شه که اجبار نمیکردن بر اونا. ثانیا سوال از این بود که حالا اونا حجاب نمیکنن، ما میتونیم نگاه کنیم، میخوام بریم خرید بکنیم. پیغمبر فرمود لا بأس لأنهن اذا نهینا لا ينتهینا، یعنی اگر به اونها بگید حجاب.
Okay, it has music, so I'm going to pause it because I might get a copyright
گوش
strike.
نمیکنن، چون اگه بهشون بگی حجاب کن گوش نمیکنن، واسه نگاه کردن به اونها مشکل نداره. شخصی
Wow. Okay, so he's giving a story of Muhammad. By the way, did I get a copy? This song is very famous. I wish I'd removed the song before I played this. So he is saying that during Muhammad's time, when the villager woman went to the bazaar to buy stuff, they had their heads naked and they had their chest naked as well. And I know that this Islamically does not refer to villager woman. Okay, village women, if they were Muslim, free Muslim women, they had to cover. This is a reference to slaves back in Muhammad's time, right? Villager woman, bull crap. Okay, so back then, so this hadith says that these women back Muhammad's time, they were naked, they were topless, they had no scarf on their head, and they asked Muhammad, they're coming to the bazaar to buy stuff, and we're coming to the bazaar too, and they have no coverage. Yes, exactly. People are confirming that this hadith is actually referring to slaves. Can we look at them given that they have no coverage? And Muhammad said, so the mullah is saying, well, this actually shows that they weren't even asking Muhammad if they should cover. They were asking because apparently it was accepted that they should not be covering. They were asking Muhammad, can we look at them? And Muhammad responds, given that they are not covered and that there's no mandate to cover them, then yes, you can look. Like there's no mandate not to look at them. But he is changing the hadith a little bit, because the Islamically, it's not villager women that should not be covering. It's the differences between free women they should cover and slave women they don't need to cover. They don't even need to cover their chest. But he gave us a whitewashed version of it. But he's trying to suggest that, look, even back in Muhammad's time, hijab was not enforced in such a way.
که در یک جامعه احساس میکنه در مقابلش مقاومته و این وسط واقعا اونی که ذبح میشه احکام شرعی واقعا نگاه دیگه.
Okay, I'm not going to play the rest of this because it has music. Let me see what you say.
مسئله حجاب هم همینطور. یه جوری است باید فعالیت فرهنگی کنه، مردم روشن کنه. حتی من عقیده‌ام اینه که برای نماز هم بچه‌ای رو که 9 سالگی میخواد بهش نماز 10 سالگی نماز مجاز، اول باید اینو حالیش کنیم که نماز یعنی چی.
Okay, so the rest of it, he's saying that we shouldn't be enforcing the hijab law. We should just be advertising. We should basically teaching women from childhood to basically follow these laws instead of putting it in law. Okay, I'm not gonna play. It's not the rest of it is not that important because we got the point. We got the point. Okay, so let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay, so no, he's not. So he's using a technical tool of Islamic politics named Khud'e. I don't know what's his intentions are. Khud'e is basically guys like taghiya, basically. I don't know what his intentions are. I don't care. Why he's saying the things he's saying. I just care about the effect. I just know they wouldn't say these things if they had the upper hand. Ziv is saying, do you think they have a change of heart, or are they just realizing they don't have a chance and speaking from a practical worldview? I mean, look at the past 40 years. Have you been hearing these narratives from such high officials in the on TV in Iran saying these things so publicly? No, only now that the Iranian people are becoming so anti-Islamic, they're saying these things. So obviously, this is more of a practical defense mechanism, right? Muhammad saying we need to get to a point where when these nappy head, okay, that might actually refer to something else that people might think. Okay, so I know you're referring to the turbans, guys. Shit for brain people are viewed by all societies as crooks and idiots, not leaders or knowledgeable people. Yeah, I mean that's already happening in Iran, Muhammad. So we're already there. We have already arrived. So that day is today. So don't worry about that. Let me actually go to Galibov because this is important for context for the upcoming videos that I'm about to show you. Okay, so Galibov here. This is amazing. By the way, guys, we have a lot of Iranians today in the live chat because usually we have mostly Europeans, Americans, Canadians, UK people, and people from the rest of Europe, and especially we have always here a lot of Israelis. And today we have a lot of Iranians. This is great. I think this is a new year because most of the time Iranians watch me on our Persian channel, but today they're here on the English channel. Do you guys understand? I hope you guys, Iranians, I think the Iranians who are here are the ones who their English is good to understand this. All right, so this is Galibov, guys. Galibov, the Atheist Republic community. Meet each other, okay? It's important for you guys to know who this is because not only he's the head of the parliament, as we call, so in Israel they call the parliament the Knesset. In Iran they call the parliament the Majlis. Okay, so he's the head of the Majlis. But not only he's that, he is one of the most powerful people in Iran politically, one of the most influential people, so much so that even though he has been proven to be incredibly corrupted, he's so powerful that Khamenei uses him often for many things, while trying to also make sure that he doesn't become too powerful for him to become a threat to Khamenei. And he is one of the hardliners who is more pragmatically minded. Like this guy is survival. Like he's not his decisions is not based on let's sacrifice everything for the sake of bringing the Imam Mahdi regime, blah blah blah. Like he says those stuff, but everything he does is based on pragmatic. Like he's more pragmatic. He's on the pragmatic side, but he's considered one of the hardliners. But given that he makes pragmatic decisions, a lot of hardliners consider him to be half hardliner, half reformist. Okay, so let's watch what he's saying here, because this is context for what's about to come, what I'm about to show you. Okay, let me remove this.
با خاطر همین بحثایی که پیش اومد، دبیرخونه شورای عالی امنیت ملی که بر اساس اختیاراتی که دبیرخونه داره، احساسش این بود که این ممکنه در جامعه الان تنش‌هایی داشته باشه، چون درست.
Okay. Oh, hold on, Galibov. Let's go one step at a step. Okay, so Galibov is responding to accusations against him of him being the one behind the reason why hijab laws are not being enforced. And a lot of hardliners are extremely angry with Galibov to the point that they have been fighting in the streets, physical fighting between hardliners about them. Let me tell you what has happened. What happened that led to this video. So there are a lot of protests right now in front of the Majlis and other places by hardliners against the government in Iran. You heard that right. There are a lot of there are constant protests these days by hardliners against the government in Iran, religious hardliner, regarding the three things I always mention you. Why the hijab laws are not being enforced? Why are we not more aggressive against Israel? Why are we talking about potentially having negotiations with Trump? These are the three things, right? And a lot of these protests that hardliners do against the governments, they usually have signs attacking these people. Rouhani, Zarif, Ahmeti, sometimes Pezeshkian, and maybe even Arakshi. But these are reformer names, people who are considered within Iranian politics to be reformists. But ever since the last presidential election, there has been an infighting between the supporters of Galibov and the supporters of Jalili, or the Paidari group, which I will get to. So Galibov is a hardliner, Jalili is a hardliner, but there has been, because both of them became presidential candidates at the same time, so hardliners were turning on each other to vote for Galibov or vote for Jalili. Eventually, none of them won Pezeshkian, which is a reformist, so-called reformist one, right? But that was the beginning of hardliners turning on each other. But in their latest protests against the government by hardliners, one person, for example, had a sign against Galibov, because a lot of hardliners are saying these days that the reasons why hijab laws are not being enforced is because of Galibov, and they also consider him to be corrupt, which they're right about that, and many other things. And some hardliners came out and told that hardliner to take down that sign. That sign was not against one of the reformers. That sign was against Galibov, which is a hardliner. Some other hardliners who were supporters of Galibov were at that protest, and they were offended, and they came out and told that man to take down that sign, and he did not take down that sign, and they started fighting, and it got physical, and now it's escalating more and more again among hardliners. Paidari camp. So let's say we have two camps of hardliners: Paidari camp hardliners and Galibov camp hardliners. And the Paidari camp of hardliners are considered to be more radical, and the Galibov camp hardliners are considered to be more pragmatic. And now he's here on Iranian TV explaining it wasn't no. It's not me. I'm not stopping the enforcement of hijab laws. And let's see who or what he blames. Okay, so watch this. So Muhammad saying Iranian politics are confusing. Okay, let me simplify it for you. Okay, so we have the Iranian people, liberal-minded Iranian people, secular-minded Iranian people, who are the vast majority of Iranian people against the entirety of the regime. The regime itself has reformists and hardliners. Okay, the reformists, which Iranian people consider to be also evil, sometimes even more evil, are reformists. Okay, they want to save the Islamic Republic by doing some reforms. Okay, the hardliners now are turning against each other. Okay, and the hardliners, the simplified version of it, the hardliners, some of them are more pragmatic minded, some of them are more radical minded. Okay, some of them are more ideological, right? So the supporters of Galibov, which is this man, are considered the hardliners who are more pragmatic minded, and the supporters of the Paidari group, or which their candidate for the previous elections were Jalili, are considered to be more ideological minded. Okay, and now what's happening? Hardliners are blaming some hardliners are blaming other hardliners for their hijab laws not being enforced, and they're blaming, for example, they used to only blame their reformers for religious laws not being enforced, but now they're also blaming hardliners for religious laws not being enforced, which is Galibov. Is that now? Is everybody on the same page now? What's happening? So let's see now. Galibov is now responding to all of this, saying it's not me. It's not me. Let's do. Everybody understands. We're on the same page. This makes sense. Everything makes sense. We're all good. Okay, so let's watch him now. Oh, we got a super chat. I will respond to that super chat as soon as I finish this video. Thank you for the super chat. We got a super chat today. All right, so watch this.
با خاطر همین بحثایی که پیش اومد دبیرخونه شورای عالی امنیت ملی که بر اساس اختیاراتی که دبیرخونه داره احساسش بود که این ممکنه در جامعه همین بحثایی که پیش اومد دبیرخونه شورای عالی امنیت ملی که بر اساس اختیاراتی که دبیرخونه داره احساسش بود که این ممکنه در جامعه الان تنش‌هایی داشته باشه چون درست همزمان.
So he's saying that the office of the Shoraya Ali Amniyat Milli, which is the Supreme National Security Council in Iran, he's saying they were the ones who decided that enforcing the hijab laws at this moment, guys, these are the laws that was approved recently. Remember me and Susanna and I covered this on the news because the Majlis, the Parliament of Iran, recently passed the most aggressive hijab laws possible. Okay, and to appease, to make the hardliners happy, because a lot of hardliners were angry with the government for why the hell we have so many hijabless women in Iran right now, right? So the parliament came out and passed the most aggressive hijab laws, and then the hardliners were happy. Oh my God, we got the new law. This is great. Now all this hijabless women, they are gonna have to wear the hijab. But after that law was passed, the law was not being enforced. And at first they were like, oh my God, Pezeshkian is not enforcing the law. And then they realized, no, Galibov is saying like, yeah, this Galibov as well, which is a hardliner, saying we cannot enforce this law. So the law is on the books, but it's not being enforced. And they're admitting that they are not going to enforce this law. And now Galibov is explaining why are they not enforcing this law. He's saying the Supreme National Security Council had determined that enforcing this law is going to cause chaos. Right? Let me actually make sure I'm getting the words right.
احساسشی بود که این ممکنه در جامعه الان تنش‌هایی داشته باشه چون درست همزمان با
Yeah, it's going to cause conflict in society. Okay.
بحث مربوط به مسائل سال 1401 و اینا بود.
So he's saying this was related to the things, again, he doesn't even mention it by name. He's saying this is related to the things happened in year 1401, which is like based on Iranian calendar. He's talking about the revolution, the national revolution that was sparked by Mahsa's death. But he doesn't mention the name or what happened. You're like, oh, the things associated with the time. This is related to that. Okay. By the way, before I continue, tell you what he's saying, let's see what he's referring to, because he's talking about Shoraya Ali Amniyat Milli. What is that? What is this thing? What is this institution, guys? Because aren't you supposed to be a democracy? So in a democracy, right, we have, elections, and we have the executive branch, we have the judicial branch, and we have the legislative branch. Okay, the legislative branch makes the laws, and the executive branch enforces the laws. But I have been telling you on this channel for so many years that in Iran, we have a fake democracy. All of these three are worth shit. They do nothing. They have zero power. I told you that not only the elections are fake and the elections are engineered by the regime, even if they weren't engineered, none of these three have any power beyond the power of the supreme leader and IRGC, which are not chosen by the people. right? So we have the judicial, the legislative, the president basically, and his cabinet, and the executive and the legislative. None of them have any power beyond the supreme leader and IRGC within Iran. So even if people had the right to choose whoever they want for these three branches, which they don't, they can't even do anything. Everything they decide is dictated to them by unelected officials. Right? Khamenei is an unelected official. Maybe, guys, maybe one day I will show you. It's not even like Bashar al-Assad, because Bashar al-Assad has a fake. This is not like Bashar al-Assad at all, because Bashar al-Assad has a fake election, and then it has a fake election that he was chosen by the people. But in Iran, the people we have fake elections for, they don't even have a power. At least in Syria, when we had a fake election for Bashar al-Assad, then Bashar al-Assad had all the power. In Iran, we have fake elections for the people who don't even have any power. Okay, so that's major. There's a huge difference here. The supreme leader has the power. The IRGC has the power. And the supreme leader picks the people who can choose him. Okay, which I'm not going to go into that as much. Okay, but now what he's saying is also a confirmation of what I told you, because we had the parliament, the Majlis, picking a law, but there's this other institution. This is other institution that comes and tells both the Majlis, both the parliament and the presidency that do not enforce this law. What is this institution? Who are these people? This institution is called this is the English version, the Supreme National Security Council. The Supreme National Security Council has came out and said, do not enforce the hijab law. Where is this power? Who has this? Who gets to dictate such things to the executive branch and the legislative branch? Well. Let's look at who these people are. Okay, so look at this. This is Shoraya Ali Amniyat Milli, the Supreme National Security Council. Okay. Here are the important parts that you need to understand. Okay, you can look at the Wikipedia page here. Okay, let me actually hold on. Make sure. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So here, determining. So I'm not going to go over his history and everything. These are the parts that are important to me. Okay. Important to the rest of us. Determining the defense and national security policies of the country within the framework of general policies determined by the leader. Okay, the National Security Council is mandated by Article 176 of the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran to be presided over by the president of the country. Here's the important point. The supreme leader Ali Khamenei selects the secretary of the Supreme Council. The decisions of the councils are effective after the confirmation by the supreme leader. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the Supreme National Security Council are at the top of the foreign policy decision process. Huh? What just happened, guys? What just happened? When Galibov comes here and says that it was the office of the Supreme National Security Council who said we shouldn't be enforcing these laws, what he's saying is that Khamenei made this decision. So he is saying to the other hardliners, back the fuck down. This is not me telling you that we're not enforcing the hijab laws. This is not Pezeshkian. This is not the president. This is not his cabinet. This is not the reformers. This is not the parliament. This is not me. This is the supreme fucking leader. Back the fuck down. Telling us not to enforce the hijab laws. That's what he's saying. And also, this is also a confirmation of everything we have been saying on this channel for a lot of the things we have been saying on this channel is being confirmed at the same time, by the way, that the decisions in Iran are made at a level higher than the parliament and the presidency. Okay? The Supreme National Security Council is, everything it does is above. So let me actually bring this page back. Look at this, okay? So the Supreme National Security Council is the National Security Council of the Islamic Republic. The current secretary, okay, so it doesn't so imagine this. Everything we have is for show. Like the defense ministry is for show because they don't make this. When it comes to security of the regime and everything that is that the government is supposed to do, that is the highest ranking institution that is completely controlled by Ali Khamenei and completely does what Ali Khamenei does. That is the institution that decides what the regime does, not the defense ministry of the president's cabinet. So this is how Khamenei controls everything. Okay, so let's continue.
عقب بیفته. دبیرخونه این پیشنهاد خودش رو که از اختیاراتش بود که میتونست این کار انجام بده آورد تو صحن شورای عالی امنیت ملی اونجا با حضور همه اعضا. این
Oh, he's saying that the office of the council, the Supreme National Security Council, they have the ability to do this, and they brought this concern. They basically this mandate, this rule, the stopping of the enforcement of a hijab law. They did this while all the members of the council were present.
رو مطرح کرد و شورای امنیت ملی هم این تصمیم گرفت، یعنی این تصمیم صحه گذاشت برای اختیاری که خود دبیرخونه داشته و
and the council approved it. This is that they did this and it was approved.
دبیرخونه این کتبی به بنده ابلاغ کرد. خب وقتی
and he's saying that their office basically they dictated this to me, written. It was a written order basically. He said.
من ابلاغ کرد طبیعتا من وظیفه قانونی دارم که این رو رعایت کنم.
And he says when they give me when the Supreme National Security Council when they dictate me a written order, it's my legal duty to submit, to accept their order. He's basically saying to the other hardliners that this was my legal duty. My position as the head of the parliament, the position I have is basically below that council. So if they give me this order, I have to do it. He's basically trying to wash off his own hands from the other hardliners by saying this was not me. He's saying like I didn't do anything. By the way, guys, do you know this made some hardliners very, very angry? Because not only he washed his hands off of not enforcing the hijab laws, some hardliners see this, and I think maybe accurately so, as him throwing the supreme leader under the bus. Because some hardliners are saying, let's say that's even true. Let's assume that Galibov, you're not lying, and this actually came from the Supreme Council. You should have just been taking all the hate instead of redirecting the hate towards Khamenei. Like what? Like an actual loyal person to the Supreme Leader would not have made this public. An actual loyal person to the Supreme Leader would have just taken all of the bullets so that the Supreme Leader does not get any hate for not enforcing the hijab laws. Because what you just did by saying this is you just told the nation that our Supreme Leader, God's representative, the current representative of God on earth, the representative of the Mahdi to be, the proxy of the Mehdi, the hidden Imam. You are saying that man had came out and said, do not enforce Islamic law, which is kufr. That's what you just said. You just said the supreme leader of Islam itself, not the supreme leader of Iran, the supreme leader of Islam just came out with an order of not enforcing God's law on earth. That's what you said in this video. You should have shut the fuck up. You should have just let the other hardliners hated you. Okay? It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. Okay. Let me do some of the super chats and then we will because you know, guys, why it gets better? Because remember how I explained everything to you? We had the liberal-minded Iranian people, we have the reformers, we have the hardliners, and I put hardliners in two categories, the Galibov type categories and the Paidari camp categories. And now I'm showing you that there's a fighting between the hardliners, between the Galibov camp and the Paidari camp. It gets better. Over hijab, all of it because of hijab and Israel and Trump, okay? But mostly because of hijab. I'm going to the videos that I'm going to eventually show you. Before that, let's listen to another Akhund. But I'm going to show you division, infighting between, not just between the hardliners, not between the Galibov camp and the Paidari camp. I'm going to show you infighting between the Paidaris themselves. Between the hardliners, the radicals, the most radical of the hardliners. Now they're fighting against each other. I'm going to show you infighting between Paidari and Paidari. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this amazing? Isn't this great? But let me do some of the comments that you have. Oh God, this is so beautiful. I'm so happy. This is the best New Year ever. All right, so let me do some. So we got a super chat. Thank you, Anne, with the super chat saying, "What do you think will happen when Khomeini eventually dies?" Well, Anne, I have good news for you. Khomeini is already dead. You mean Khamenei, I think. And do Iranians believe the anti-West propaganda? Okay, so Khomeini has already died. When Khamenei eventually dies, I think that the regime will become significantly weaker than it is right now, because the only thing that is holding the hardliners together is Khamenei. Like there's infighting between them, but there's an agreement among a lot of them that whatever is wrong with the regime, being loyal to Khamenei is what is holding us together. So when Khamenei dies, the infighting between hardliners is going to become much, much higher than it is right now, and that is going to increase the infighting and make the toppling of the regime even more probable, right? And then the second part, and do Iranians believe the anti-West propaganda? No. In fact, it's beyond not believing the anti-West propaganda. The Iranians are a major source of pro-Western narratives, more than almost any other country in the Middle East. So, yeah, the love for the West among Iranian people is higher than, I'm assuming, any other country in the Middle East. I mean, maybe Israel could compete with that, but other than Israel, no, there's nobody else. So, yeah. Thank you for the super chat. And we got Nina just got 5 memberships for people in the live chat. Thank you so much, Nina. I appreciate that. And Born Only Once also became a YouTube member. Thank you guys for the support. And let me see 2 questions highlighted by Jean. Jonah is saying, so what will happen if the Iranian regime loses the last remaining support that it has? It will topple. Okay, so I don't know how much support the regime has. I'm assuming it's around 6% right now. if it loses, that's why the regime is more afraid of losing that remaining support than anything else. Is afraid of that more than a U.S. military attack or an Israeli military attack, because that's the last leg it has standing on. Like if it loses that, that would be the end of the regime. And also Muhammad saying, how is the head of the IRGC picked? Is that by Ayatollah? Yes, by Khamenei. All right, so let's go to the next video. Let me do 2 videos by this before I go to the major escalation, because that the Paidari video, the infighting between Paidaris themselves, that video is going to show you like the confirmation of a lot of this stuff that I've been telling you throughout this show. So let's watch this guy. Wait, actually, let me see. This guy is important. Let me get his name. He's kind of a big deal. Sheikh Ahmed Bafsi. Am I reading his name right? But he's one of the fathers of the most hardliner, the most radical of the hardliners, right? And let's see what he's saying here. Wow. Let me actually make sure how many. Yes. Look at this. So because, guys, remember I told you the infighting is regarding 3 things: hijab, Israel, United States, Trump. Negotiating with Trump, a lack of a great response against Israel, not enforcing the hijab laws within Iran. So let's see. So this is one of the most influential leaders of the most radical of the hardliners within Iran. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much. I don't know how to pronounce Mika. Am I pronouncing it right? Oh, thank you. That's very appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Okay, let's watch this.
دشمن خبیثی مثل اسرائیل علنا اومده حمله کرده. این که یواشکی نیست.
He's saying an enemy, an evil, a dirty, wretched enemy, I would say, like Israel, had came and transparently and so clearly attacked us. Like this was not like when Israel came and attacked the Islamic Republic on Iranian soil, this was not hidden. This was like a very clear attack.
اومده حمله کرده تا نزدیکی‌های مرز با هواپیما اومده با
Like they came with their planes close to our borders.
موشک‌های دور برده شما رو زده چند نفر شهید شده تا
And they have hit you with their long-ranging missiles, and some of us became martyrs.
منطقه بین دامغان و شاهرود اینها حمله کرده موشک‌های
He mentioned some of the places that Israel just recently hit with their attacks.
تا اونجا رسیده. بعد
basically saying their missiles basically hit us within our soil, like they actually within Iranian soil.
شما بگید بله خیلی خوبه اگر دشمن به ما حمله کنه من با شکمم میزنم تو لگد دشمن.
He says, and what you say, he's saying this to the Iranian officials. He says, and you respond that, oh yes, this is great. If Israel attacks, we will attack the regime's kicks with our tummy, with our stomachs. So he's basically saying the regime, like he's basically using an analogy. He's saying, like, imagine if somebody kicks you in the gut, and then you say, like, oh yes, look, I attacked his kick with my gut. Okay. That's, guys, remember we said like that the victory of anus over the sword, and we used to make fun of the Iranian regime by saying like, oh, they come hit us, but we were victorious because like they said the blood is victorious over the sword, and we changed that to yes, your anus is like we basically said on this channel. So here's what we said. So in Iran, the regime always says that the blood is victorious over the sword, meaning that if you come kill us, our martyr's blood is more powerful than your sword. And then in Persian, blood is khun, but anus is kun. So we have changed that when they say that blood is victorious over the sword. when they say پیروزی خون بر شمشیر, we changed it to پیروزی کون بر شمشیر, which means the victory of anus over their sword, meaning that they come and shove a sword up your anus, and you guys come out and say, look, our anus has captured their sword. And we made fun of them for that. And actually, there's a monthly Python, this but a scratch, meme that is, I always like to show, which is, yeah, so let's see, let's have this one. That basically, I should have that, I should always have this ready, because this is always, this will never stop being relevant. Oh, what am I doing? Copy image here. Let me see. Yeah, this meme. Right? So you guys are familiar with this Monty Python. So this is what the Islamic Republic always does, right? You cut off their hands and they're like, this is nothing but a scratch, we're victorious. So what I have been telling you on this channel, and the way that the Iranian people always make fun of the regime for saying like, oh, we're victorious. Now the anti-regime Iranians are not making fun of the regime. Now the head of the religious spiritual leader of the most radical hardliners in Iran is making fun of the Iranian regime in the same way by saying like, has your guts become victorious over their kick when they're kicking you in their guts? So he's saying that. Isn't that amazing? Yes, Sarah saying the Farsi language always hits to the core. Yes, exactly. Okay. But let's continue.
آقا هارت و پورت چه فایده داره؟
He's saying he's saying all these barking, like this is addressed to the Iranian regime. All these barking is useless. That's what he's saying.
شما رهبریتون تصریحاً مکرراً، ملتتون مکرر، نیروهای مسلحتون فرمانده هاشون مکرراً گفتن آقا باید به اون وعده خودتون عمل بکنید.
Wow, guys, I think this is a shot at the supreme leader himself, because he's saying you guys have the leadership and the armed forces have repeatedly said that you will attack Israel, and you have promised this, and you have to basically not go back on your promise. He said the leadership and the armed forces. So this was a shot. These are the hardliners basically making fun and attacking IRGC and the supreme leader. He's basically saying what happened to all of these promises regarding attacking Israel. Okay, this is major, guys. Hardliners never used to be this brave to stand this strong against the supreme leader. Okay, let's go.
الان وعده صادق سه شما کاذبه یا صادق؟ چه؟
So he's saying Vade Sadiq, so Vade Sadiq was the name that the Iranian regime gave to attacking Israel. So Vade Sadiq means Vade Sadiq. How do you try, like the honest promise? The honest promise. So we had the honest promise 1. Basically, they call it the honest promise because they promised the Iranian people that they will attack Israel and they will humiliate Israel. And we had Operation 1, Operation 2, and now the latest attacks was on Israel, on the Islamic Republic, and the Islamic Republic has not responded to that yet and has been a long time. So he's saying Operation Honest Promise 3, was that an honest promise, or was that a lie, or was that a fake promise? So like you're calling it an honest promise, but it seems like it wasn't an honest promise. Okay. By the way, these are troop, these names, right? They named it like they're like, oh, we promised the Iranian people that we will humiliate Israel, so let's call our operations the honest promise. Honest promise Yek, honest promise 2. And now a lot of Iranians making fun of the regime, like what happened to honest promise 3? Israel responded, where is honest promise tree? And now a lot of people are like, yeah, where's honest promise tree? Where's honest promise tree? So there's in Iran on social media, there's this whole what happened to honest promise tree is a meme now. Okay, so let's continue.
بعد بگذره بعضی وقتا این قوه قضاییه خیلی خوبه اعلام میکنه فلان شخصیت جانی آدم.
Now he's making fun of the judiciary. Okay, but guys, remember the head of the judiciary in Iran, which is Ex-Shia, is handpicked by the supreme leader. Okay, and now he's making fun of the judiciary. Let's see what he says about the judiciary.
بعضی وقتا این قوه قضاییه.
Yeah, okay, so people are saying it's the best translation is Operation True Promise. Okay, True Promise one. I like honest. Sadiq is honest. Sadiq is honest, right? I like honest promise more than true promise. It's honest promise. Okay, but true promise is a good answer, a good translation as well. Okay, now let's listen to him making fun of the judiciary.
بعضی وقتا این قوه قضاییه خیلی خوبه اعلام میکنه.
He's like sometimes this judiciary is really good. Like he's making fun of them.
فلان شخصیت جانی آدم کش مثلا اعدام شده.
So like sometimes the judiciary comes out and gives out a statement that this evil person, this evil murderous person, we executed this person. Okay.
اصلا ما که تو این حرف هستیم از خاطرمون رفته این کی بود چی بود.
Like some of us who are not following these things so carefully, we don't even know who this person was and why he was executed. But then the judiciary comes out and says that, oh yeah, we executed this very evil person. Okay.
سر چه اتفاقی بود؟ بله.
I said, why was he arrested? We had even forgotten about this person. But they come out and make a big statement about they're executing him. Okay, and then what happens?
چند سال پیش توی عهد کجا این آقا جنایت کرده بعد الان بعد از سالها ما گرفتیم و آقا رو.
So and then we follow like, okay, let's see who the judiciary executed, and then we realize like, oh, this person a couple of years ago did something over there, and now after so many years they executed, and the judiciary make a big deal about it. Okay.
اعدام کردیم. حالا صرف نظر از اونی که ما گفتیم اعدامش کردیم بعد آلمانی ها علیه ما اقدام کردن با از بزدلیمون ترسیدیم وحشت کردیم بعد گفتیم نه ما نکشتیمش ما اعدامش نکردیم اعلامیه بیانیه رسمی خودمون انکار کردیم گفتیم خودش مرد. ببینید حد بزدلی.
Wow, he's saying like, okay, so what happened after you announced that? He says after you announced that, Germany came out and took a position against us executing this person, and then the judiciary came out and said like, no, we did not execute the man. The man died himself. Even though you actually put out an official statement by the judiciary that this man was executed and you made a big deal about it, somebody that we had forgotten about, after you executed him. So listen to this.
آلمانی ها علیه ما اقدام کردن.
And then the Germans took a position against us for doing this execution.
از بزدلیمون ترسیدیم وحشت کردیم.
And then we were so coward, like look at how cowardly we are acting as a regime. That after the Germany came out and took this position against us, we came out with and said,
بعد گفتیم نه ما نکشتیمش.
Like no, we didn't kill
ما
him.
اعدامش نکردیم.
We didn't execute him.
اعلامیه بیانیه رسمی خودمون انکار کردیم گفتیم خودش.
We actually refuted, we went against a very official statement that we had put out ourselves.
مرد. ببینید.
And we said he died himself.
حد بزدلی و بی‌لیاقتی ما تا کجا.
Look how cowardly we are. Look how basically pathetic we are. This man is saying against Islam.
دشمن خبیثی مثل اسرائیل.
Oh, so now let's do another video of this guy. This gets even more interesting. Okay. And then I'm going to escalate. Today we escalate. Okay, so watch this.
رئیس جمهور وقتی که
Oh wait, before I do this video of him, we got a super chat. Thank you, FLP34. Thank you. Saying, hey Armin, came in late. Will rewatch everything when able. Please do. There are so many juicy content at the beginning that if you watch, you will become so informed about everything that is happening within Iranian politics these days, the most juiciest of stuff. So do that. And thank you for the super chat. And also, yeah, guys, if you want to send us super chats, please do so because it really helps the channel. And also like if you don't want to send super chats, at least like. Joshua is saying, how do they even pick a supreme leader? I could do a show on that because it's funny. They make it seem like the Iranian people have a say in that, but it's circular. Okay, let me know if you guys want me to cover that. It's actually funny the way that they make it so complicated so that people don't understand that actually it's the supreme leader who picks himself. I could do that. I could do a show for you on that. It's actually, yeah, maybe I should do a show on that. Okay, so let's watch this one.
رئیس جمهور وقتی که
Let me see how many. Okay, this is short.
رئیس جمهور وقتی که معاون خودش رو خلاف قانون انتخاب کنه، بعد بگیم حالا بریم قانون عوض کنیم. آقا تا قانون عوض نکردی تو مکلف هستی. این آقای
So he's actually attacking the president because he picked his vice president against the law, and he said people are talking about changing the law, but they're not even following the laws that we already have. That's what he said.
کسا رو بذاریش کنار، وقتی قانون مصوب شد به تو ابلاغ شد، اون موقع تو بری برای چی؟ برای اینکه حالا مثلا اگر قانون جدید بود طبق قانون جدید عمل کنی. الان نمیتونی.
Hey, like, why are you guys basically saying, why are we talking about changing laws? Basically, maybe follow the already existing laws that we already have. He's saying that to the
این
president.
کارو کنی. چطور ممکنه یک کسی بیاد رئیس جمهور مملکت بشه، علنی اعلام بکنه که آقا من قانونای جمهوری اسلامی رو قبول ندارم، هر کاری دلم بخواد میکنم.
Now he's attacking the president regarding the hijab laws. This is regarding the hijab laws. He's like, how is it possible that somebody in this country becomes president and comes out and transparently and so clearly says that I'm not going to enforce the laws of this country and I will do whatever I want? Basically, he's attacking the president for saying no, they won't enforce the hijab laws. Like, he's saying, do you think they put you in your place so that you could do whatever you want? Basically, he's saying as the head of the executive branch, you have basically are supposed to execute the laws. Like, how the hell, like, how could you be the president and not actually enforce the laws?
زمان حضرت امام زد تو دهن اون آقا، گفتش که تو اگر
he's saying during Khomeini's time, there was a man that didn't want to enforce the law, and Imam Khomeini, when he was alive, the first supreme leader, he basically attacked him. Basically, he said he punched his mouth, which is a Persian saying by saying that you're taking a strong position against somebody. Okay? So Imam Khomeini, which was the first supreme leader, when he was alive, there was a man that says that I do not agree with this law. I don't accept this law. And Khomeini responded, like, you don't accept the law doesn't accept you. So this is a famous saying by Imam Khomeini, the first supreme leader of Iran. And this line was actually what was written on the sign that I told you at the beginning of the show. Remember, I told you some hardliners were taking a position against Galibov in the street protests. So the sign that was holding was referring to this very saying by Imam Khomeini, basically writing some Galibov has recently said that they're not going to enforce the hijab laws, and they had written what Galibov has said, and right under it they had put Khomeini's words saying that, oh, you say you don't accept the law doesn't accept you, as a way to suggest that if Khomeini was alive, he would basically taking a strong position against Galibov today. So both Pezeshkian and Galibov have came out and said that they're not going to enforce the hijab law, which is now a lot of hardliners are taking this saying by Khomeini. He's using it against Pezeshkian, and that sign that I just told you that people were holding, the hardliners were holding in the streets, they were using the same line by Khomeini against Galibov on that sign as well. That's a famous saying by Khomeini. Okay, so let's continue.
ما در کشوری زندگی میکنیم، کشور اسلامیه، تو نمیتونی به سلیقه خودت عمل کنی. بله.
He's saying we are living in an Islamic country. You cannot just act based on your own desires.
منطقیه که ما برای افراد اراذل و اوباش یک سازمان تربیتی که الان الحمدلله زیاد.
Guys, how do you say per Iranians? Let me see. How do you say Arazal Obash in like? Oh my God, he's calling the Iranian people Arazal Obash. Fucking, he's talking hijabless Iranian woman Arazal Obash. I think that's what he's saying. Let me see. Arazal Obash. thugs. Thugs. Oh yeah, thugs. Oh guys, you guys are so good in translating. Thank you guys. Thugs. Okay. So he's saying, so here's, let me actually give you some context so you understand what he's saying here right now. A lot of people, officials in Iran who saying that we can't enforce the hijab laws, they're saying that instead of enforcing such laws, let's do cultural and educational work so that we teach Iranian women since childhood why they should wear the hijab. Instead of, that's the proper way. We should basically go into families and into the school and into the media and on TV and basically brainwash them since childhood and work on the Iranian women currently who are not wearing the hijab to convince them why hijab is a good thing instead of forcing it in law. Let's do that instead, okay? Instead of forcing it by law, right? So he's saying his response is, let me actually listen to it.
بله منطقیه که ما برای افراد اراذل و اوباش یک سازمان تربیتی که الان الحمدلله زیادم داریم قرار بدیم، بگیم آقا شما مکلفی به دخترای دبیرستانی، به خانمای کارمند، به جاهای دیگه اعلام بکنی 4 ماه فرصت بدی، تعلیم و تربیت رو اعلام بکنی، به همه ابلاغ بشه این قانون. وقتی قانون به همه ابلاغ شد.
So he's like, yes, it does make sense for us to basically control these thugs. That's what he's saying, by actually having institutions that teach them, they to advertise to them, to educate them regarding the hijab and stuff like this. Okay, but then we also have to enforce the hijab laws. Like he's saying, it's not one or the other. Like you guys saying it's good to do educational brainwashing work, basically. But he's saying, yes, it's good to do that, but that should not replace actually enforcing the law. That's what his argument is. Guys, is he calling it? Guy, Iranians in the chat, is he calling Iranian women that are not wearing the hijab thugs? Is that what he's referring to when he's talking about Arazil or Bush? Is he talking about women just not wearing the hijab? That is disgusting.
دیگه از اون به بعد شما اجازه نداری که کار دیگه بکنی.
Yeah, sorry saying yes he did. What the? Okay. That is infuriating.
کار دیگه بکنی. این 40 و چند سال این حرف.
He's like, you have, he's saying you do not have the permission not to be enforcing these laws.
سال این حرفا زده شده. شما اجازه ندارید به
like we have been talking about this for 40 years. You have no permission not to enforce these laws.
سلیقه عمل کنید. باید به مر قانون عمل کنید. اگر این کارو نکنید شما یعنی یه آدم مفسدی هستی که در لباس نفاق اومدی قرآن خوندی، نهج البلاغه خوندی.
So he's saying to the president, Pezeshkian, that if you do not do this, that means that you are a corrupt person who, with an appearance of a religious man.
قرآن خوندی، نهج البلاغه خوندی، قسم در لباس نفاق اومدی قرآن خوندی.
Okay, so he's basically saying you are basically wearing the clothes of somebody who is religious, somebody who has read the Quran, somebody who has read the Nahj al-Balagha. By the way, in Iran, the two main religious books are the Quran and Nahj al-Balagha. Quran, the revelation of God. The Nahj al-Balagha is a book, apparently, like they say, written by Imam Ali. Okay, so it's interesting because the main religious book after the Quran is not Hadith by Muhammad. The main religious book after the Quran is Hadith by Ali. So these are the two main religious books which are revered in Iran by the hardliners. The Quran and Nahj al-Balagha, written by Imam Ali, the first Imam of Shia Muslims. The main book revered by patriotic Iranians. Anybody knows the name of that? Anybody knows the name of the main book? So by hardliners, by religious people, the main books are the Quran and Nahj al-Balagha. The main book by the Iranian patriots is, anybody in the chat that they see as superior to the Quran and superior to Nahj? Yes, there we go. It's the Shahnameh. the Shahnameh written by Ferdowsi, which is a symbol of Iranian nationalism and Iranian patriotic tendencies. And also, we atheists in Iran, we also like Khayyam's book, because we consider Khayyam to be the father of anti-religious narratives in Iran. Okay. So this Nowruz, for example, which is the New Year in Iran, a lot of Iranians, instead of putting, like, I remember when I was a kid, in my family, we didn't put the Quran in the Hafsin celebration on the table. We would put the Shahnameh instead of the Quran for celebrating Nowruz. However, I do suggest some Iranians who are atheists to also do Khayyam's book, because he is the father of us anti-Islamic people in Iran. But anyways, so he's saying regarding Pezeshkian, which is the president, he's saying you act like you are a religious person, a good person with the appearance of somebody who reads the Quran and reads the Natural Balagha, because Pezeshkian is famous for the current president of Iran, who is a so-called reformer. He's famous for have memorized the Natural Balagha, and he constantly quotes the Natural Balagha for his arguments. Okay, and he said, but this is your appearance. Like, are you actually a Muslim?
اومدی قرآن خوندی، نهج البلاغه خوندی، قسم به قرآن خوردی که بیای قوانین کشور رو اجرا کنی.
Yeah, so you have sworn on the Quran and the Natural Balagha to come and actually enforce the Islamic laws in this country.
قوانین شریعت اسلام رو اجرا کنی. تو اگر برعکس
the Sharia law, you're supposed to, as a president, you're supposed to come enforce Sharia law in this country.
کنی، بنابراین تو منعزل هستی، لازم نیست ما عزلت کنیم. تو اصلا صلاحیت شرعی و قانونی نسبت به این مقامی که غصب کردی.
So he says, if you don't enforce Sharia in Iran, you are mun'azil, meaning that you are automatically removed as the president. We don't even need to remove you, right? Like a president in this country that doesn't enforce Sharia, we don't even have to bother to remove you as a president, because you are automatically removed in his mind.
نداریم.
All right, so so I showed you 2 videos of this guy because I wanted to show you. Oh, his name is Ahmed Vafsi. I wanted to show you that one was regarding his frustration with the Iranian regime regarding the Israel, and another one regarding his frustration with the Iranian regime regarding enforcing the hijab laws. Again, guys, I didn't have videos before showing you the infighting. These infightings, we had signs and evidence that all of this was happening behind the scenes, and also among the hardliners in the crowd, like among the people, not among their leaders. But now their leaders, the level of infighting and frustration has become peaked so much that I have now videos of them speaking these things to show you how right I was about all of this. Okay, now let's escalate to a higher level. Okay, who is this man? Who, guys, Iranians in the chat, have you seen this video? I wanted to see how many Iranians have already seen this video, because we have a lot of Iranians here today. We're gonna also go to super chat, so let me I'll wait and see if Iranians in the chat. Sarah, Sohail, Sarah says me not. Okay, Sohail, other people, have you seen this? Because you are going to love this. Let me see what Carla is saying in the super chat. Oh, some people are saying yes, they have. Carla is saying, wait, how is this guy able to speak against the regime like this? Is he outside of Iran? No, he's inside of Iran, Carlo, because he's basically more Catholic than the Pope. That's why he gets to say these things, because he is that man that is these people that are saying these things. They're religious themselves, and they have their own following and their own base of support. This guy is such an important religious leader that taking a position against him, especially right now where the regime is so pathetically weak, will be devastating. Like this, the guy that I showed you is such an important spiritual leader for many of the radical hardliners in Iran, that the regime taking a position against them is going to increase the infighting among the hardliners. Of course, they're not going to take a position against them. And also, he's taking a position against the less hardliners, people within the government. So what I'm telling the people who are right now in the government, even though they're considered hardliners, the radical hardliners who are against them are more radical than they are. And these are the people, Carlo, that the regime is the most afraid of because they cannot take a position against them. It's one thing for you to come and arrest somebody who's against the regime from a liberal perspective, but it's incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible, to come out for the regime and take a position against somebody who's against the regime because they are more radical than the position that the government is taking. And that's why the regime is so stuck, so in such a difficult position against these people, right? And thank you, Carlo, for the super chat. I appreciate that. But again, so the reason why I showed you that video first before this one, because I'm showing you how that was the video, you know, that shocked a lot of you, because a hardliner was taking a position against Pezeshkian. Okay? But that Pezeshkian is considered a reformer. He also took some positions against IRGC and the Supreme Leader, but he didn't say it directly. Like, he didn't name these people. He kind of said, he said leadership and the armed forces, indirectly referring to Khamenei and the IRGC, not so explicitly against them. So it could be up to interpretation. I wanted to show 2 videos of this guy last, because this man is arguing for not enforcing the hijab laws. This man. And he is also criticizing some of the hardliners for not understanding why we cannot enforce the hijab laws. Why are they too radical? But here's the problem. Here's the problem. Who is this man? Who? This is, let me show him. Here's his Wikipedia page. Sayyid Mahmoud Nabavian. Okay. Let me make sure. Yes, Sayyid Mahmoud Nabavian. This is him. He is a member of the parliament. But more importantly, let's go down, down, down. Oh, here. Where is it? Oh, here. Guys, look at this. His allegiances is to Jabhe Paidari Inqilab Islami. Iranians in the chat, do you understand the significance of this? Jabhe, so he is not a reformer, part of the reformist Iranians. He's one of the hardliners. And among the hardliners, he's not one of the pragmatic Galibov type people. He is one of the more radical hardliner groups. And this man, so remember I told you the hardliners, some of them are Galibov type, some of them are Paidari camp. The Paidari camp are the most radical ones. And this man associated with that group, listen to what he is saying. So remember the steps that we took. The first division in Iran that everybody and their pets knows now is the liberal-minded, secular-minded Iranian people against the regime. Okay, one level up among the regime itself, the division between the reformers and the hardliners. One level up between the hardliners, the division between the Galibov, more pragmatic type, and the Paidari, more radical camp. And now we're going to go one step further. Now we're going to go between the radical the Paidari camp, divisions among that group as well. Okay. Is this not, are you not entertained? Is this not beautiful? Okay, let's see what he has to say.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. در صحبت قبلیم گفتم که اون شرایط باعث شد زمانی که ما تصویب کردیم لایحه عفو و حجاب.
Wait, I have 2 videos. Let me do this one first, because this one is more impressive, and then we get to this one.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. مبنای امام چیه؟
Guys, you can see somebody is religious and regarding how they say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In Iran, if people want to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim means in the name of God, the biggest joke in the world, like the most merciful, whatever. Rahman ar-Rahim. But religious people don't just say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. They say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Look at the way he says it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Rahim. They say the proper Arabic, the ha sound. They make it proper Arabic. They make sure that they say it properly. As soon as they say, if you're just listening to the audio, as soon as they say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in that way, they're like, oh my God, this is a religious man.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. مبنای امام چیه؟ دقت کنید در کلیپ قبل گفتم که مبنای امام. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. مبنای امام چیه؟
Oh, so he's saying, what are the foundations of the teachings of Imam? Who's the Imam? Who's the Imam? Who's the Imam guy here? Okay, the Imam is that guy, the picture right behind him, Khomeini. So when in Iran, when people say the Imam and they don't clarify which Imam they're talking about, because which Imam? Because we have 12 Imams, 12, and then we have Imam Khomeini and we have Imam Khamenei. Right, so we have 14 imams that you could be referring to. The 12 imams in Shia Islam, you know, there's a 12er Islam. I mean, these people are they're not even 12er anymore because they added 2 imams, right? So traditionally, Shia Islam has 12 imams, but the Khomeini version of Velayat Faqih Shia Islam has 14 imams because they added 2, which is the first supreme leader, which is Imam Khomeini, who's dead, and the second supreme leader, which is the one who's the supreme leader right now, which is Imam Khamenei. So it's interesting, among all these 14 imams, when they say the Imam said this, from all the 14, we know that they're referring to Imam Khomeini, the first supreme leader of the Islamic Iranian regime, right? So he's now saying that this is what the Imam said. Well, let's see what the Imam said.
دقت کنید در کلیپ قبل گفتم که منو امام در صفحه 673 جلد 2 کتاب البیش میفرماید.
So he's now quoting his book, the book of Imam Khomeini, because a lot of these people treat Khomeini's writings as if it's like the Quran itself. So he's trying to convince the Iranian people that we shouldn't be, enforcing hijab laws, citing Khomeini's book. Okay, so let's see what he's saying. Again, it's amazing. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing, guys? Are there any Shias who are not part of the Velayat Faqih narratives in the chat? Because it's amazing that these Shias, when they want to convince you what is religiously the right thing to do, they do not open the Quran. No. He's not opening the hadith of Prophet Muhammad. No. He's opening the writings of Imam Khomeini as his reference for what is it the right thing to do Islamically. Isn't that interesting? Okay, let's see what Imam Khomeini said. Yes, so Sarah is saying they consider Khomeini more Imam than Imam Ali. Exactly, Sarah.
میگه روشن شد و مرت الاشاره الیه من نظام صفحه 673 جلد 2 کتاب البیش میفهمد و کیف کان بعد ما علم بالضروره.
And it's in Arabic. Of course it's in Arabic. It's in Arabic. Fucking hell. The supreme leader of the so-called supreme leader of Iran, his writings are in Arabic. So he reads the Arabic and then he translates.
میگه روشن شد
instead of it being in Persian.
و مرت الاشاره الیه من ان فی الاسلام نظاما و حکومتا.
Thank you for wasting our time reading Arabic. We are Iranian. You're talking to Iranian people. Just give us the Persian translation. We do not speak Arabic. Why are you not speak Persian?
اسلام نظام و حکومت داریم به جمعی شؤونها. میگه این که روشن شد، بعضی روایات ولایت فقیه رو میاره، میگه لا یبقى شک فی ان الفقیه، یه روایت داره که حصون الاسلام فقها حصن اسلامه، میگه لا یبقى شک فی ان الفقیه لا یکون حصنا للاسلام الا بان یکون حافظا لجمیع الشؤون من بسط العداله اجراء الحدود سد الثغور. همین کار رو فقیه باید انجام بده و الا ادامه میده و الا فصرف.
Let's get through this Arabic part until he explains what the hell he's trying to say.
الاحکام لیس
Trust me, it gets very good. His conclusion is very
به
good.
اسلام. من معنا بکنم اینو یا هم کافیه؟
Yes. No, yeah, please do. He's saying, do I need to explain or was this enough? No, idiot. You need to explain. That was like for 99.9% of Iranians, that was just a mumbo jumbo. Do you think he's asking us, like, was that not clear? Do I need to explain? Yes, you idiot. You need to explain. We don't read this fucking bullshit. We don't read bullshit like that. Explain.
فصرف الاسلام لیس به اسلامن ولی یمکن ان یقال. از اینجا باید خوب دقت کنید به ویژه دوستان طلبه ما.
He's saying, please pay attention, especially the mullahs. The mullahs, please understand this, because he's trying to calm down the radicals. So he will explain.
اسلام هو الحکومه. هو ضمیر فصله. دال بر اختصاصه. اسلام یعنی حکومت.
Oh, okay. He said all that freaking bullshit that I didn't understand. I'm not going to waste my time understand. And then he got to the final conclusion. He read all of that Arabic stuff from Khomeini to say that this was he summarized it in one sentence. He said all of this means that Islam is equal to governance. Islam is equal to governance. Basically saying that the core of Islam is a political entity. That the whole point of Islam, beyond everything else, is to have an Islamic government. Okay? Let's see how is he getting predict before I play the rest of this, because I want you guys to think about these things before you actually hear what he's about to say, because he's going to try to make the argument for why we shouldn't be enforcing the hijab laws. How is he getting from where he is right now to that conclusion? Think about it. He's saying that the entire point of Islam is governance, to have an Islamic government. That is the foundation of Islam. So much so that they are equal in meaning. So let's continue.
به شؤونها والاحکام قوانین
More Arabic.
اسلام. اگر اسلام شد حکومت پس احکام اسلام میشه قوانین الحکومه و هي
If Islam becomes the government, then Islamic laws becomes the laws of that government.
پس احکام اسلام میشه قوانین الحکومه و هي خودش امام میفرماد و هي یعنی احکام شأن من شؤونها. احکام اسلام شأنی از شؤون حکومته. بل
احکام اسلام yeah, same thing.
مطلوبات بالعرض. حجاب مطلوب اصلی نیست. نماز.
What? He's saying that the main desire, the main things that we want, the main principles is not hijab.
مطلوبات بالعرض. حجاب مطلوب اصلی نیست. نماز، روزه، حج. امام برای حفظ حکومت اسلامی جلوی اجرای حج رو گرفت.
He's saying not only hijab is not the primary important thing. Not only hijab is not a main thing. Prayer, salat, fasting during Ramadan, Rozeh, and Hajj. Basically, he's mentioning the 4 of the 5 pillars of Islam. He's saying these are not important. These are not the main concerns. Do you understand what he's saying? He's saying, so he basically, not only he threw hijab under the bus, not only he just threw hijab under the bus, but he also threw out some of the main pillars of Islam. He threw those under the bus. He's basically passing the Iranian people in the things that we are achieving, because the Iranian people are thinking like, okay, first we're going to go for hijab, then we're going to go for the rest of the principles of Islam. But before we even get there, this man is throwing everything under the bus. Okay, salat, yes, salat is the Islamic prayer, the 5 times prayers that you're supposed to do, he says those are not the concern. Those are not the main important concerns. So he's basically saying the main concern, the main important thing above everything else, or like main highest principle, is for Islam to be able to have an Islamic government. It's not for people to have hijab. It's not for people to be praying. It's not for people to be fasting during Ramadan. It's not for people to go to Hajj, to go to do pilgrimage to the Kaaba. It's not any of that. All of these things are secondary. The highest, most important principle that everything else could be sacrificed for, and he will escalate. Oh, salat means salad in Hebrew. Okay, in Islam it means prayer. The five prayers. Everything else could be sacrificed, but the thing that you have to keep is the Islamic government. For the sake of having an Islamic government, you could sacrifice everything else. And he also gives an example. He says, for example, during Khomeini's time, he stopped the Hajj, stopped Iranians going to the Hajj, going to Saudi Arabia, for the sake of maintaining the government. Perry saying, then what's left? Exactly. Well, he will explain. Let's watch this.
اونا مطلوب اصلی نیستن. مطلوب اصلی حفظ نظامه.
Yeah, the main concern, the main important desire, the main thing that we should doing is the survival of the regime. So he's saying that the survival of the regime is the most important mandate, is the most important thing that we should be concerned about. Nothing else. Do you guys know why this pisses off a whole bunch of mullahs? Because a lot of the radical mullahs, who are the spiritual fathers of a lot of radical hardliners, they're not part of the regime. They're just part of a huge groups of radical Iranians, and they're spiritual leaders. So they're like, where's the hijab enforcement? Because they are radicals and they want all of the Sharia laws to be enforced. But the same radicals, when they are in the regime, when they're in power, when they are part of the government themselves, they're like, actually in Islam, maintaining the power of the regime is more important than hijab itself. Okay, so these other radicals are like, wait a second, would you be saying that if you were not part of the regime? Like, think about this, right? So they are these radicals who have the power of the regime, and then we have radicals who do not have the power of the regime. So the radicals who have the power of the regime are saying that maintaining the power of the regime is more important than enforcing hijab laws. And the radicals who do not have the power of the regime, they're like, no, the most important part of Islam is to enforce every single law of God. Okay. And like, no. Like, it seems like it almost seems that everybody is just self-interested, right? Those who do not share the power, they're like, oh, these people who have the power are not doing the right thing. Give us the power. And the people who have the power, they think like, you know what? If I actually enforce the hijab laws now, this is actually a threat to the power that I have. So actually, Islamically, that's not very important. The important thing is to do everything we can to maintain our power, the power that I have. Guys, let me tell you Islamically, let me read my books. Islamically, the right thing to do is to keep me in power. Sure. The whole point of Islam happens to be the very thing that keeps me in the position of power that I already have. Sure. This is amazing. So let's continue with this. Yeah, he's saying, what Quran verse is that? It's not even it's Khomeini's who Quran who? This is why the mullah that I showed you at the very beginning of the video said that if we remove Quran from society, nothing changes. Because this man is not quoting the Quran. He's quoting Khomeini's book. Quran? What Quran? Quran? I've never heard of such a book. I have Khomeini's book. Okay. So let's continue. Oh, so he's saying the most important thing is to have a regime that the head of it is a proxy of the hidden Mehdi. That is important, even if you're not enforcing Sharia. Apparently, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're not enforcing Sharia. What matters is that our supreme leader is a proxy of the hidden Mehdi, meaning that the supreme leader is actually in direct communication with the hidden Mehdi, the 12 hidden Imam of Islam, and they're talking with each other, and they're in communication. And Khamenei, the supreme leader, is doing his will. And as long as we have such a person as the head of our government, that is important. That's important. That's what we need. Oh, thank you. Muhammad saying Armin for the 15 Imam. Okay. All right, let's continue.
نظامه. البته افصل نظامی که در رأسش نائب امام زمانه.
So not any regime. The regime, this is very interesting because Islam for 1400 years, nowhere in Islamic text said that this is the main thing about Islam. Like if you read the Quran, this is not mentioned. If you read all the hadiths by Muhammad, this is not mentioned. If you read even hadiths by Ali or the hadiths by the 12 Imams, none of this is mentioned. But all of a sudden, Khomeini came and he wrote in his book that the most important thing in Islam is to have a regime with a supreme leader that is a proxy of the hidden Mehdi. That is the whole point of Islam. And for 1400 years in Islamic history, nobody ever mentioned that. Okay, sure. Let's
و
continue.
امور عالیة لاجرائها احکام اسلام ابزار هستند برای اجرای حکومت و بسط العدالت.
What?
البته افصل نظامی که در رأسش نائب امام زمانه. و امور عالیة لاجرائها احکام اسلام ابزار هستند برای اجرای حکومت و بسط العدالت. جای دیگه
So the parts that he talks about enforcing Islamic laws, he goes over it so casually as if like because it goes against his narrative. Because it's like he's reading this part saying, and then enforcing Islamic laws are a tool to basically maintain that government and get to that government and all that stuff. But he's also reading the parts about enforcing Islamic laws, but he's going over it very fast because he wants to focus more about the importance of the important parts being maintaining the regime. So that's good.
1666
So now he's reading another part of the text.
حکومت به معنای ولایت مطلقه است که از جانب خدا به نبی اکرم صلی الله علیه واگذار شده و اهم احکام الهی است و بر جمیع احکام شرعیه الهی تقدم دارد.
Oh, okay. So yes, the other laws you have, the regime should be enforcing the other laws if it can, but the main, he's saying the main enforcement. So yeah, like sure, hijab is important, prayer is important, Hajj is important, but the main rule of Allah, the main hukm ilahi, the main mandate by Allah that comes ahead of all of them. See, when it comes ahead of all of them, meaning that if you have to sacrifice the other ones for this one, you should be doing it. Okay, is to have a regime that has
و بر جمیع احکام شرعی. جای دیگه 1666 حکومت به معنای ولایت مطلقه است که از جانب خدا به نبی
to have an absolute regime, an absolutist regime.
اکرم صلی الله علیه واگذار شده و ولایت مطلقه است که از جانب خدا به نبی
a guardianship of a jurist that has absolute power meaning that is above everything else. That means the parliament, the presidency, the judiciary, the supreme leadership, everything above. It has absolute power. It has they call it the absolute guardianship of the jurist. Like this, they used to call it the supreme leader. Now they're calling it the absolute leader, meaning that it has absolute power.
اکرم صلی الله علیه واگذار شده و اهم احکام الهی است و بر جمیع احکام شرعیه الهی تقدم دارد.
So it's basically having that a representative of the government that the prophet wanted is a representative of God on earth. Having that in place is a priority, is a higher priority than actually all those other laws. So this law of having the regime, so we have multiple laws. We have laws that you have to wear the hijab, you have laws that you have to pray, you have laws that you have to do the Hajj, you have laws this and this and that. Those are laws, but this law, the law that you must have such a regime, is a higher priority. So watch
پس
this.
نگن دوستان که آقا اگر حجاب نبود این چه نظام اسلامیه. نه، نظام اسلامی اگر
Oh, he's saying so please, our friends, please don't say if we don't have a hijab laws, then what kind of Islamic government is this? Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said? Let me repeat. He says, please, our friends. Who is he talking to? Is he talking to the Iranian people? No. Is he talking to the reformists? No. Is he talking to the Galibov camp, hardliner Galibov camp? No, because they themselves are saying we shouldn't enforce the hijab laws. This is a piety person, a radical piety person that is talking to other radical piety persons that stop saying what kind of Islamic regime is this if we're not enforcing the hijab laws. Don't say that. Why shouldn't they say that? So let's continue.
نگن دوستان که آقا اگر حجاب نبود این چه نظام اسلامیه. نه، نظام اسلامی اگر اجرای لایحه اعفاف حجاب موجب تضعیف نظام بشه، دو قطبی بشه، نظام ضربه ببینه، باید بذاریم کنار.
Sarah, so hey, did you hear that? He says, no, you are wrong. In an Islamic regime, if enforcing the hijab law is going to make the Islamic regime weaker, we should put away the hijab law. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? First of all, wow, because this is one of the most radical religious officials in Iran, who is saying that we should not enforce the hijab law if it makes us regime weaker. But at the same time, he made a huge admission. He is saying that this is an admission of the victory of the Iranian people, because this is the admission that the Iranian people, their removal of their hijab and the insistence of some people to try to keep getting them back into following hijab laws is a threat to the regime. So when Armin Navabi, comes here on this channel and tells you that the Iranian woman taking off the hijab has weakened the Iranian regime, has been a threat to the Iranian regime, and a lot of you thought like, yeah, sure, Armin, you are against Islam, you are against hijab, and you like the Iranian regime to topple. So of course, Armin is going to exaggerate and is going to tell us that a simple act of taking off the hijab in Iran is weakening the Iranian regime and it's a threat to the Iranian regime. Of course, Armin would say that. Of course, Armin would be biased to say such a thing. Well. Now we have a person from the piety camp, member of the parliament in Iran, saying that we cannot enforce the hijab laws because the hijab laws, enforcing them in such an environment where the Iranian people are so anti-hijab, is a threat to our regime. And we should not be enforcing it. Because if anything that is a threat to the regime should not be done, including enforcing hijab. So let's continue. پشماتون ریخت
فعلا موقت باید بذاریم کنار. موقتش تا که تو هر وقتی که ضربه نبینه.
Oh, he's saying we should temporarily. This is why I say guys should not trust reformists, because he's saying we should temporarily put it aside. Because these people, when they have the upper hand, they will come back with force, like with the full aggression. So he's saying, as in this environment where this is a threat, we should temporarily put away the hijab laws. And then he asks questions and answers it himself. He says, temporarily till when? And he answers it, until it's no longer a threat to the regime. So let's continue.
جای دیگه باز میفرماد در همونجا باید عرض کنم تو
So he's now reading more from Khomeini's book.
حکومت که شعبه ای از ولایت مطلقه رسول الله صلی الله علیه و سلم است، یکی از احکام اولیه اسلام است و مقدمه بر تمام احکام فریه، حتی نماز و روزه و حج است.
He's saying, he's reading another part of Khomeini's text, like he is saying the same thing. He's saying that this basically having defending the Islamic regime is more as a higher priority, even more of a priority than namaz, roza, or hajj, meaning than praying, fasting, and going to the hajj, pilgrimage to the Kaaba.
مقدمه بر ایناست. حفظ نظام واجب تر از حفظ حجاب و حفظ نماز و حفظ حج و ایناست.
Maintaining the regime is more important than maintaining hijab, prayer, fasting, and hajj.
تو عید قدیر 2/6/65 میفرماد اون ولایتی که دست از نبی رو بالا بردن،
Another part of Khomeini's text,
اون به معنای محبت و به معنای ولایت عرفانیه نیست، میگه بحث حکومته. میگه حکومت باید باشد تا شما بهش. من باز اینو نمیخونم شما چون فرصت نیست. 22
I think he didn't read something. He said I'm not going to read this part because we have no time. I think there was something that negated what he said. Somebody go look up the part that he did not read, because maybe the part that he decided not to read was negating his point.
بهمن 63 جای دیگه میگه که مسئله حفظ نظام جمهوری اسلامی در این عصر و با وصفی که در دنیا مشاهده می شود از اهم واجبات عقلی و شرعی است که هیچ چیز با آن مزاحمت نمی کند.
He's saying, again, he's reading another part of Khomeini's book. He's saying that maintaining an Islamic regime is the most important Islamic, religious, and rational thing in the world, that there's nothing in the world that is more important than that. Nothing in the world.
25 آبانش هست.
He has a list of places in Khomeini's writings that says all
یک
these
تکلیف الهی است برای همه که اهم
Oh, this is a religious mandate for all people. By the way, guys, do you know where this comes? Khomeini's writings. Do you know this whole idea of maintaining an Islamic regime is the most important thing in the whole world? Where does it come from? This comes from Muslim Brotherhood, which is a Sunni ideology. It came to Iran. The Muslim Brotherhood failed because this whole idea of the Islamic regime having that is the most important, and it's every Muslim's duty to bring that about, was something that the Muslim Brotherhood invented. But Muslim Brotherhood is Sunni, and they were unsuccessful to bring about an Islamic government, except maybe Hamas in Gaza, and also in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood was in power for 2 minutes before before the military basically shut them down. But other than that, the Muslim Brotherhood has never been able to bring about an Islamic government anywhere. But because this ideas of Muslim Brotherhood was more compatible with Shia ideology, when Navabi Safavi took those ideas from Muslim Brotherhood and brought it to Shia Islam, the combination of Shia Islam, communism, and Muslim Brotherhood understanding of the most important thing in the world being more important than anything else, having an Islamic regime at all times, the combinations of these three gave birth to Khomeinism, or what we know as the Vilayat Faqih version of 12-verse Shia Islam. This is how we got the Islamic Republic, and it was the only successful enforcement of that idea that the most important thing is having an Islamic government with the, but they took the caliphate version of that from Muslim Brotherhood, but they turned it into Imamate, which also Ali Shariati was an important part of that with his book Ummat and Imamat. Okay, so but I'm not going to get into those details, right? But let's continue.
تکلیف هایی است که خدا دارد، یعنی حفظ جمهوری اسلامی از حفظ یک نفر ولو امام عصر باشد اهمیتش بیشتر است.
So he's saying based on the writing of Khomeini that maintaining an Islamic government is even more important than saving the life of the imam of your time. Okay, so who's the imam of our time? So we have 12 imams. 11 of them are apparently dead. Okay, the 12th one is still alive. He's hiding somewhere. It's the most successful game of hide and seek in the history of mankind. Okay, so the 12th imam is in hiding, and he's walking among us. We don't know where. There are signs, including he sheds gold. I kid you not. Okay, no, actually, he sheds and the earth swallows his shit, because it would be that's someone else. The person who sheds gold, someone else. He touches things and it turns to gold. But when he sheds, because it's so unsacred for the shit of the imam to be exposed, it's actually within Shia writings that the earth comes and swallows his shit, so his shit is not exposed. Anyways, he's walking around among us, and he's present, and he's the imam of our time. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys, by the way. That's actually, we had shows about this. That one of his miracles is that his shit will not remain standing on the ground; the earth will swallow it. Anyways, that Imam Mehdi is alive, the 12th Imam, and he's among us. But whoever the Imam of the time is, either one of the 11 Imams when it was their time, and the current 12th Imam, which is the Imam of our time, protecting his life is not as important as protecting the Islamic regime. So basically, based on what Khomeini said, and this man is reading, if the Mehdi was present today and you had to choose between saving his life or saving the current Islamic Republic in Iran, given that that's the only Islamic regime in the world, the only one, according to them, you have to choose maintaining the Islamic regime in Iran and just letting the Mehdi die. That's how important of a priority this is. Okay?
جمله دقت دارید دوستان؟
You're like, are you paying attention? He's like, are you paying attention? The life of the imam of your time is not as important as maintaining an Islamic regime.
دیگه برای حفظ نظام ممکنه ما نتونیم دشمن تحمیل کرده حجاب رو ناقص اجرا بکنیم.
Oh, he's like, for example, it is possible that for maintaining an Islamic regime, because of the strategies, because of what has been forced upon us by our enemies, we might not be able to enforce hijab laws. Basically calling the Iranian people without hijab the enemy of the state. Okay, amazing. But continue.
دو قطبی ایجاد کنیم که نظام ضربه ببیند.
We shouldn't cause division among us. This will, like, basically this infighting between us will cost the regime. It's a threat to the regime. Remember, I told you guys the main threat to the regime, the Islamic regime in Iran, is the division between these hardliners. He's saying this is like this division among us. We shouldn't do this. This is going to cost us. This is a threat to the stability of the regime. So let's continue. So he's saying basically everybody get on the same freaking page. Forget the hijab laws. Let's not enforce the hijab laws. That's what he's saying. Let's continue.
برای حفظ نظام ممکنه ما نتونیم دشمن تحمیل کرده حجاب رو ناقص اجرا بکنیم.
Oh, our enemies has forced us to enforce the hijab laws not completely. That's what he's saying.
نباید دو قطبی ایجاد کنیم که نظام ضربه ببیند. سوریه سازی تو ایران نباید بشه برنامه آمریکا.
Oh, he's saying that this is all America's plan, okay? And he's saying Iran should not turn into Syria, like what happened in Syria with the fall of Assad. We shouldn't let that happen here.
نباید کامل بشود.
America's plan, United States plan, should not be completed.
جای دیگه میفرماد نه اینکه ما ایرانی‌ها مکلفیم که نظام رو حفظ کنیم. کل مسلمان‌های دنیا موظفن جمهوری اسلامی رو.
He's saying it's not that we Iranians have the duty It's not that we Iranians have the duty to save the Islamic regime. That is not our duty. What do you think he means by that? He's saying this is the duty of all Muslims in the world. All Muslims in the world. This is not an Iranian duty. Okay?
مسلمان‌های دنیا موظفن جمهوری اسلامی رو حفظ کنن.
All Muslims in the world have the duty to save the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic in Iran. The Iranian regime, he's saying that the regime of mullahs in Iran, protecting it and maintaining it, is the duty of every Muslim in the world, not in Iran.
این نظام پدید اومده در رأسش ولی فقیه است نایب امام زمان.
This is a regime that has came to be, and it has a leader that is a proxy of the Mahdi. So that means that every Muslim has this duty to protect it.
ملاک اسلامیت نظام به اینه.
Let alone that most somebody tell this man that most Muslims are not even Shia. What the fuck is he talking about? Mahdi, the 12 Imam. Okay, somebody, I think he hasn't gotten the memo. Does he not know that 85% of Muslims are not even Shia? And among the Shias, not all of them are even 12er Shias. And among the 12er Shias, not all of them believe in the Vilayat Faqih Khomeini version of Shia Islam. Do you understand that you are a minority within a minority within a minority? How did you make this the duty of all Muslims? 80% of Muslims are Sunni. And among the Shias, some of them don't even believe in the 12 Imams, let alone your 12 Imam being the Mahdi who's hidden. And among the Shias who believe in the 12 Imams, many of them don't believe that your Khamenei is connected to the 12 Imam. They don't believe in your Vilayat Faqih. And then how did you, the audacity of making all Muslims in the, oh, I know. They're not Muslim. I know how he gets away with that. The Sunnis are not really Muslim to begin with. I guess that's how you get away with it. Okay, sure. Yes.
میخونم براتون 22 بهمن 64 حفظ جمهوری اسلامی یک واجب عینی اهم مسائل واجبات دنیا.
Oh yeah, Imran, the real Muslims will understand him. Exactly. Imran is saying like, oh yeah, sure, Armin. Most Muslims, those are not the real Muslims. Yes, exactly.
بهمن 64 حفظ جمهوری اسلامی یک واجب عینی اهم مسائل واجبات دنیا.
By the way, if they say the Sunnis are not the real Muslims, then Palestinians, please pay attention. Your main defenders who keep bragging about being the main defenders of the Palestinian cause secretly don't even consider you Palestinians to be Muslims because you be Sunni.
اهم است از نماز اهمیتش بیشتر است برای اینکه حفظ اسلام است نماز فرع اسلام است این
Ooh, namaz farah. Okay, so he's basically saying the same thing based on different parts of Khomeini's book. So let's continue.
امام از مقام معظم رهبری مسئله براتون بخونم. دقیقاً میخونم شاید یکی دو.
Oh wait, now he's going to read something from Khomeini, the 14th Imam.
امام از مقام معظم رهبری.
By the way, I am reading. We have a super chat, and I will get to that as well. Oh, by the way, Jean left. Jean and Sarah is now. The Iranian Sarah is now highlighting the comments. Thank you, guys. We went from an Israeli highlighting your comments. Now an Iranian is highlighting your comments. This is how diverse we are at this channel. So thank you, guys. Thank you to Jean, who was highlighting the comments up until now. And now the reason why I say Iranian Sarah, because we also have an Israeli Sarah who highlights comments. So now the Iranian Sarah is highlighting comments. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, let's watch this part.
دقیقاً میخونم شاید یکی دو دقیقه این کلیپ بیشتر بشه اشکال هم نداره 1:94 تو حرم امام رضا سلام الله علیه آقا میفرماد این امر معروفی که ما میگیم.
Okay, so when they say Imam, that's short for Imam Khomeini. When they say Agha, which means sir or sounds like Lord but means sir, when Agha said this, that means Khamenei. So remember, when they say Imam said this and that, without clarifying who they mean, they're talking about Imam Khomeini. When they say Agha means sir. Okay, said this and that, I mean, it means Khamenei is saying this.
اینا رو پایین نیارید در حد
Yes, team effort.
تذکر دادن
Exactly.
به یک زن بعد حجاب، به یک آقای فلانی. نه، معروف فقط این نیست، پایین نیارید قدر و منزلتشو. از رو میخونم این معنای مهم این کلیپ بیشتر بشه، اشکال هم نداره. 1:94 تو حرم امام رضا سلام الله علیه آقا میفرماد این امر معروفی که ما میگیم اینا رو پایین نیارید در حد تذکر دادن به یک زن بعد حجاب.
Oh, so Agha, this Khamenei, the current supreme leader. So we went from the writings from the previous supreme leader to the writings of the current supreme leader. He said that the Amr b'Maruf and Nahy anil Munkar, meaning basically the obligation in Islam for you to basically meddle in other people's affair. Stick your nose where it doesn't belong, tell people that there's not supposed to, basically vigilante justice, basically turning everybody into a police and turning people against each other by making every single Muslim an enforcer of Islamic law upon other people. This is a mandatory law within Islam, within the Quran itself. Okay, so he's reading something by Khamenei, that he says that this principle of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, which means that every Muslim is responsible for enforcing Islamic law. So this principle, don't bring it down to just as doing that for people not wearing the hijab or stuff as mundane and low as that. Okay.
به یک آقای فلانی. نه، معروف فقط این نیست، پایین نیارید قدر و منزلتشو.
So don't just bring it down to that level. It's not just that. It's not just telling people to wear the hijab.
از رو میخونم این معنای
So let me read it verbatim.
مهم امر معروف و نهی از منکر رو نباید به مسائل زیر نصاب اهمیت منحصر کرد.
Don't use this to enforce just unimportant, like less important
بعضی
things.
تصور میکنن امر معروف و نهی از منکر منحصر میشود به این که انسان به فلان زن یا فلان مردی که یک فرع دینی را رعایت نمیکند تذکر بدهد.
Some people think he's reading Khamenei's words. Some people think that the Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar is for telling this person or that person to just do this secondary Islamic law, follow that and follow this. It's just about that.
البته اینو امر معروف و نهی از منکر است، اما مهم
Yeah, that's important. However, what's more important,
قلم امر معروف و نهی از منکر نیست.
it is important, but it's not the most important part of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar.
مهمترین قلم امر معروف و نهی از منکر عبارت است از امر به بزرگترین معروف ها.
The most important part of this, how do you guys say in English Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar? Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. This is part of the Quran verse. Okay, so it's enjoining good and forbidding evil. Okay, so that's what it's called. This is part of the Quran, right? So the most important part of this principle, which is enjoining good and forbidding evil, is to bring people to the greatest good. To the greatest good. So what is that
به
greatest good?
بزرگترین معروف ها، نهی از بزرگترین منکر ها،
and to take them away from the greatest of all evil. So it's enjoining people to good and forbidding to evil. But what is the greatest good and what is the greatest evil?
ترین معروف ها در درجه اول عبارت از ایجاد نظام اسلامی و حفظ نظام اسلامی.
The greatest good is the creation of an Islamic regime and protecting an Islamic regime. So if there is no Islamic regime in the world, the greatest good in the world is to create an Islamic regime. But if there is an Islamic regime in the world, which we only have one right now, according to these people, the greatest good is to be protecting the Islamic regime. That's the greatest of all good. It's not for people, it's not for women to put a hijab on. That is good. It's not the greatest good. The greatest good is to have an Islamic regime.
این امر معروف است. معروفی بالاتر از ایجاد نظام اسلامی و حفظ نظام اسلامی نداریم.
So when you want to enjoin people to good, there is no greater good than this.
دوستان نگن اگر حجاب مثلا ضربه ببینه نظام دیگه اسلامی نیست. نه.
So please, our friends, don't tell us that if hijab is threatened, then our regime is no longer Islamic. No, it's not such a thing.
اگر برای حفظ نظام اسلامی نمازم ضربه دید، حجم جلوی حجم گرفته بشه انجام میده.
If for the sake of saving the Islamic regime, even if it's a threat to prayer and Hajj, then we should do it. We should threaten. So I have a question, by the way. What if I was one of his students, I would ask what if for the sake of the Islamic regime, we should all just get butt naked? How about that? Should we all get, if we get to a situation that we have, so forget not wearing the hijab, what about getting butt naked? Should the entire, like, let's say on one hand we have the entire Iranian people being like full on butt naked, and we maintain the Islamic regime, but on the other side everybody is fully clothed and you have all hijab, but the Islamic regime will fall in. Would you choose the butt naked option? Okay, and if you say, yeah, of course, butt naked if it saves the regime. Okay, what if we have like a full-on orgy between the entirety of the Iranian people? Okay, like should we have mass orgy one day of a national orgy with the entirety of the Iranian nation taking part in, for the sake of maintaining the regime? Like, would you say yes to that? I don't know. National orgy. Would that be okay? I mean, if it's for the sake of saving the regime. I mean, that's what he says. That's what he says is the most important thing. He said we should be doing anything for the sake of the regime. What about edging the Imam? What about edging the Mahdi? Is edging the Mahdi for the sake of the Islamic regime okay? Can I get a fatwa on this? Can I get a fatwa? Can we edge the Imam of our time for the sake of for the sake of keeping an Islamic regime? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, and I need a fatwa on that in writing. Okay, so let's continue.
6/9/93 دیدار با مجمع عالی مستضعفین، فرمایشات مقام معظم رهبری. ببینید این فهمیدن اولویت هاست دوستان عزیز، اولویت ها شناختش.
Like our friends, this is the understanding. This is the understanding of priorities. This is for the sake of understanding priorities.
شناختن اولویت هاست. امام راه جهت را نشان داد. فرمود
Our Imam showed us the way.
نظام از اوجب واجبات یا اوجب واجبات است.
Okay.
یعنی همه مسائل بعدی فرع این مسئله است.
He's repeating himself. We got it. Do you have any other points?
کلمات دقت دارید؟ دیدار با دانش.
Yes. He's like, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Only fatwas. And Nike is saying only fatwas.
شما 31/5/89 مسئله حفظ نظام مطرح شد. به نظر ما همینطور که گفتیم حفظ نظام واجب است و اوجب از همه امور است.
اوجب واجبات. The highest priority of all priorities. Okay, yeah. He's just reading different places.
دیدار با جمعی از روحانیون. میگن خب از این مشکلات و اینا چی میشه؟
Oh, so he was meeting. Apparently, the Imam was meeting with some other Rouhani, some other mullahs, and some other people were like, but what about these other important things? What about like religious mandates?
14/12/70 من فقط همین تکر آخرین جمله که از آقا میخونم.
Oh no, from the Khomeini, not Khomeini. So like so Khomeini was meeting with some other religious people, but other people were concerned. Like, really, what about these other important Islamic things? So he's saying, I would read this is the last thing I would read from Khomeini.
تحقق آرزوهای اسلامی کار 10 سال 20 سال نیست. تحقق آرزوهای اسلامی کار بلند مدت است و باید به تدریج انجام بگیرد و همه عوامل دست به دست هم بدن. معلوم است که آرزوهای
So Khamenei is saying in this writing that when he was meeting with other religious scholars and whatever, he's saying like to get to the place where we can enforce our all Islamic laws. These are that thing that takes decades. Like he's saying, don't rush. What we have to keep is the framework. Like if we lose the framework, then we will never be able to enforce these laws. He's basically saying, be patient. We will get to a point where we can actually one day be able to enforce all of these laws. Right now, we just should basically protect the framework, which is interesting because you had the laws before. Like you're going backwards. Like he's promising the people, he's trying to like, it's okay, my mullahs. Like imagine Khamenei holding a mullah in his arms, and another mullah is crying like, but the Sharia, oh Aga, our Lord, our Sir, we're not enforcing hijab. All these women with their bare heads. Oh, I'm getting tempted. This is not Islam. And Khamenei is just holding them like, it's okay. One day we will enforce all of these laws, but right now we just should protect the regime. And this is basically what's happening. The mullahs are crying to Khamenei, like, "Oh, Aga, but what about the bareheaded woman? The bareheaded woman. What do we do?" And it's like, think about me. Think about me being in power. Forget the woman. Forget the woman. I have to maintain my power. Okay, that's your religious duty. So let's continue.
اسلامی در کوتاه مدت تحقق پیدا نمی کند. معلوم است که در اینجا و آنجا تخلفی پیدا می شود. هر دفعه یک کلیپی از یه جایی، از یک مجلس خصوصی عمومی از بی‌حجابی، اینو هی القا می کنیم. به نظرم خوب نیست. دوستان مؤمن ما رو مایوس نکنیم. تحقق آرزوهای اسلامی کار بلند مدت است و باید به تدریج انجام.
So this is a long-term approach. He's saying this is a long-term approach as if like slowly things are getting better. So you're moving in the wrong direction, you idiot. But Khamenei was telling other Rouhanis, other mullahs, that this is a long-term plan for us to eventually get there.
و همه عوامل دست به دست هم بدهند. معلوم است که آرزوهای اسلامی در کوتاه مدت تحقق پیدا نمی کند.
He was like, of course, all of these religious goals will not be happening in a short term. You had 40 years and you went backwards.
معلوم است که در اینجا و آنجا تخلفی پیدا می شود.
Of course, there are going to be people who are going to be violating like these rules.
هر دفعه یک کلیپی از یه جایی، از یک مجلس خصوصی عمومی از
Now these are his own words.
اینو هی القا می کنیم.
He like every time we get like a clip from here in the parliament, somebody like being angry about the hijab, and this is basically constantly we're showing these things, we're fighting among each other.
هر دفعه یک کلیپی از یه جایی، از یک مجلس خصوصی عمومی از بی‌حجابی، اینو هی القا می کنیم.
Oh no, like he's saying like we say videos of people. I don't know if he's talking about people within themselves talking about hijab, being angry about it, or videos. He's talking about videos of Iranian women being without hijab. Says these videos come out and we keep basically emphasize, like focusing on them. Like he's like, let it go.
به نظرم خوب نیست. دوستان مؤمن.
He's like, this is not good.
ما رو مایوس نکنیم.
Like he's saying, please do not remove the hope from our fellow believing friends. Basically, he's saying you're basically causing disappointment and hardship in the emotions of our fellow Muslims by constantly saying like, oh my God, Islam, we don't have Islam anymore in Iran.
معلوم است که همه دستگاه هنوز با نوای اسلامی حرکت نمی‌کنند. در این
Like, of course, it is natural that all these different systems and institutions in Iran are not aligned with Islam. That's of course this is the case. Like we couldn't have expected anything from other than this. This is amazing because these people, just like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they were bragging about how this is the only society in the world where everything in it is like completely in accordance with Islam. Now that the Iranian people have become anti-Islamic, it's like, of course we cannot expect a society to be completely in line with Islam. Okay, sure.
اگر شما به صدر اسلام هم نگاه کنید میبینید حتی زمانی که نفس مطهر پیامبر هم به مردم میخورد اینطور نبود که همه مردم یک شب مسلمان بشوند. همه کار
He's like Khamenei was talking to mullahs and Khamenei was saying like, look, even when the pure holy breath of Prophet Muhammad was hitting other people's bodies, meaning that when he was alive, even at that time, not everybody became Muslim overnight. Okay, but you had 1400 years and you had 40 years of an Islamic regime. What a weird way of saying somebody was when somebody was alive. Instead of saying when Muhammad was alive, he says when his pure holy breath was hitting other people. Okay, sure.
اصلاح کلی و عمومی حرکت بلند مدت لازم دارد. وظیفه اول حفظ نظام است.
Okay, again, the first duty is to maintain the regime.
هیچ کس نمیتواند به اتکای اینکه فلان جا و فلان تخلف شده حرکتی انجام بدهد یا حرفی بزند که این نظام اسلامی را تضعیف کند.
Okay, nobody should ever say anything that will threaten or weaken the regime, including saying that why are we. So basically, this is telling other Muslims, other radicals in Islam, in Iran, that if you say, why are we not enforcing hijab laws, you are actually doing the greatest of all sins, because by saying that, you are becoming a threat to the regime and you're causing division among us, and you are doing the greatest of all major sins, which is weakening the greatest good that ever existed, which is an Islamic regime. Imagine how pissed off some these other hardliners are getting. So these hardliners are saying that we are more. These hardliners are saying to these other hardliners that we are more Muslim than you because you mofos are not enforcing Islamic law, right? And we want the Islamic law to be enforced. And these hardliners are responding to these other hardliners that you are actually the greatest of all sinners, because you are threatening the greatest good that ever existed. So, like, I know a lot of like, what? Ever since we read any book about Islam ever, we were told that the most important thing is to enforce God's law on earth. And now we're saying, well, God's law is hijab and you're not enforcing it. And we're like, why are you not enforcing it? And now you're calling us the greatest of all, sinners because we're threatening the Islamic regime. So who's like, so these radicals are like pointing at each other by saying like, no, we are actually getting Islam right. So
اونی که من گفتم تندروان بعضی از اونایی که ساماندهی میکنه این لشکرکشی ها را.
Wow, he's saying some of these radicals. He's calling them radicals. Guys, we call these people radicals. And now these radicals are calling the other radicals radicals. Like, you guys are too radical. He's saying you are friends, you are with your radical ways. He's actually, radicals are calling each other radical. Like, these are he's saying you are being too radical. Wow.
اول حفظ نظام است. هیچ کس نمیتواند به اتکای این که فلان جا و فلان تخلف شده حرکتی انجام بدهد یا حرفی بزند که این نظام اسلامی را تضعیف کند. عرض بنده تمام. اونی که من گفتم تندروان بعضی از اونایی که ساماندهی میکنه این لشکرکشی ها را.
Oh, he's clarifying. He's like, listen. I'm not calling the people who are in the streets protesting against the regime for why we are not enforcing hijab laws. I'm not calling those people radicals. He's because apparently he said this somewhere and people attacked him. Like, why are you calling these people radicals? They are just concerned Muslims worried about the society getting corrupt with all these bareheaded women. You're calling these concerned Muslims radicals? And apparently there was a backlash to him saying that, and he's now clarifying, like, no. I'm not calling these people who are protesting radicals. I'm clarifying. The people who are organizing those protests, they're the radical ones. Okay. Apparently the backlash on him was too much. So he's like basically taking a step back. Like, no, the people who are protesting against the regime for not being Islamic enough, they're not radicals. But the organizers, they be radicals. Who's organizing these protests?
اونی که من گفتم تندروان بعضی از اونایی که ساماندهی میکنه این لشکرکشی ها را.
لشکرکشی basically saying like the people who are لشکرکشی. How do you translate لشکرکشی? لشکرکشی. Campaigns. Military camp, like he's calling it like military campaign.
به اسم حجاب، یکی به اسم بی حجابی، یکی.
Guys, we are about to get to a point, maybe, where people in Iran are arrested by the regime because they want hijab laws to be enforced. That's where we're heading. Okay, people who are being arrested for being too radical Islamically in Iran. That's where we're heading.
به اسم شریعت، یکی به اسم فلان.
These are the beginning signs of it. He's calling the organizers of protests for the sake of having hijab in Iran. He's calling the organizers of those protests radicals, coming from a government official, a member of the parliament, and a member of the most radical, actually, Islamic camp in Iran. This man is calling the organizers of those protests radical.
این باعث تضعیف نظام میشه. تضعیف نظام بالاترین معروف.
Imagine if the member of the most radical group in Iran is calling you a radical. Oh God.
حرفی
Okay.
بزند که این نظام اسلامی را تضعیف کند. عرض بنده
Oh, yeah.
تمام. اونی که من گفتم تندروان، بعضی از اونایی که ساماندهی میکنه این لشکرکشی ها را، لشکرکشی ها به اسم حجاب، یکی به اسم بی حجابی، یکی به اسم شریعت.
By the way, we shouldn't let this work in because this guy is actually doing all of this so that the regime, Islamic regime, stays in power. Like we shouldn't welcome those people. If those radicals get arrested, as enjoyable as it is to watch that, we should not want that. Because we should want those radicals to continue fighting against the regime. We should not want the regime, we should not accept the regime taking a step back. We see it as a sign of the strength of the Iranian people, but this is not going to satisfy us. Nothing other than the full toppling of this regime is going to satisfy us.
یکی به اسم فلان، این باعث تضعیف نظام میشه. تضعیف نظام بالاترین معروف.
He's like, this is what these people are they doing? What these radicals are doing? This is going to weaken our regime.
با نظام بالاترین معروف.
Imagine telling people that their demand for hijab is now weakening the regime. That's what I've been saying. That's what I have been saying.
تضعیف نظام بالاترین حرامه. اصل نظام باید باشه.
Oh, تضعیف نظام بالاترین حرامه. So he's saying the most haram thing in the world, the most haram thing in the world is the weakening of the regime. There's no more bigger haram than this. So yeah, basically a national orgy or basically like genocide, for example. He's saying there's no haram bigger than weakening the Islamic regime. So if you do genocide, it's not as haram as that, apparently.
تا بعد حجاب بیاد، تا بعد فلان. خود بندم مدافع 100% حجابم.
Like we will bring hijab later. He's like, I myself, I am 100% in defense of hijab, meaning mandatory hijab.
همین تو چی هم زدم، تو کانال خودم هم آوردم که معاون 2 تا وزارتخونه رو خواستم، زنگ زدم که فلانجا چرا اینطوره، ما تعقیب میکنیم.
Like I have been concerned myself. I have making some calls about why this happened over there, why that happened in that ministry. So like guys, I'm also like like you guys. I want mandatory hijab because these are important to me. I make phone calls sometimes.
اما لشکرکشی خیابانی به هر بهانه‌ای موجب تضعیف نظامه.
However, these military campaigns that you're doing in the streets, all of that is against the weakens the regime. Basically, he's talking about people, these religious people protesting in the streets. Like, do not do that.
دو قطبی خواهد شد و دو قطبی
this division.
به علاوه مطالبه داشته باشیم، اما توهین نکنیم. اطلاعات ممکنه کامل نه.
Like also stop insulting it. Stop insulting. So he's basically telling religious people to stop insulting the government officials.
باشه وعده صادق 2، وعده صادق 3.
Oh, وعده صادق 1 و 2. No, like he said, like, oh no, we went from hijab to Israel. We went from hijab to Israel. I told you it's hijab and Israel. Hijab and Israel. Hijab and Israel. Hijab and Israel. Guys, he says, yeah, you guys could ask, you could mention your concerns. Please don't insult and stop saying where's وعده صادق 3. Stop asking for the third true promise, or what did we call it? Honest promise. You know, stop asking us for the third campaign of Operation Honest Promise. Okay, like stop asking for it. Stop asking us to attack Israel. Okay.
باشه اما توهین نکنیم. اطلاعات ممکنه کامل نباشه. وعده صادق 2، وعده صادق 3. نمیدونم غالیباف این کارو کرد، نظامی ها این کارو کرد.
Oh, like you keep saying like what happened to Operation Honest Promise 3? You keep saying like, oh, why did Galibov said this? Galibov, remember the guy that I showed you? What you keep complaining about Galibov?
لشکر باقری اینا همه کذب محضه. اگر
these are all lies.
همایش ها میذاریم، همایش برای دعوت از وعده صادق 3 نذاریم. برای دفاع از نظام بذاریم، برای بحث مقاومت.
Like if you gather around together, please don't get around together to ask for Operation Honest Promise 3 attacking Israel. Get together to defend the regime.
با سازش بذاریم و اینا مباحثی که باید مطرح بشه. و سلام علیکم.
Okay, let me see this. There's another 5-minute video of him. Let me see what he said here.
شهادت 3 دستم بود و شرایطی که خودتون تاریخش هم میدونید.
The next video I'm going to show is like a reaction of one of the Arzashis, one of the hardliners, to these videos. So let me see what he said here, and then I'll show those two videos.
اما بر اساس اینکه مبادا
Oh, let me see you guys. Oh, we got a super chat by Ginga. Ginga saying, "Is Shia a cult? Muslims online tell me it's a cult. Depends on your definition of a cult. I mean, they're the ones to speak. If Shia is a cult, then the entirety of Islam is a cult. But I mean, both Sunni Islam and Shia Islam have a lot of the characteristics of a cult, except its size. I mean, if you consider a cult to be not, yeah. So I mean, they have all the characteristics of a cult. They're just bigger, both Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. But let's watch, see what he. And thank you for the super chat. So let's watch this.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. در صحبت قبلیم گفتم که اون شرایط باعث شد زمانی که ما تصویب کردیم لایه عفاف و حجاب رو قبل از سقوط
One of the main characteristics of a cult is the leaving it difficult, and Islam famously makes it the most difficult.
سوریه بود قبل از شهادت سید حسن بود و شرایطی که خودتون تاریخش هم میدونید. اما بر اساس اینکه مبادا دشمن بخواد سوریه سازی بکنه ایران رو، جلوی هر چیزی که باعث دو قطبی میشه، دبیرخانه شورای امنیت ملی گفته که فعلا جلوش گرفته بشه.
Oh, guys, he also now here confirmed that the Shuraya Aliyah Amniyat Milli, which was basically the Supreme National Security Council, has ordered, which basically he's saying Khamenei, he's telling people this came from Khamenei, it came from higher up, so shut the fuck up. They have ordered that anything that causes division should be stopped. Anything that causes division should be stopped.
منتها چه برخوردی کردن؟ بعضیا گفتن که
But what did some people do?
مثلا اون کسی که من یه بار دیدم گفتم اون کسی که جلوش گرفته مثلا نوویانه. خیلی
But some people came out and said that the person who stopped all of this is Navabian, like he himself. Like people are like Navabian are stopping the enforcement of hijab.
تعجب کردم چرا اینجوری.
Like I was so surprised that they said that.
نماینده میتونه جلوی
Like I was so surprised that they say that I'm just a member of the parliament. How could a member of parliament stop such a thing?
اجرای یه قانون رو بگیره. جلوتر اومدن گفتن کار آقای قالیباف.
And then some people came out and said it was Galibov, the head of the parliament.
خب اینا غلطه. اینجوری
Like, but these are lies. Like these are wrong. He's talking about other hardliners saying these things.
برخوردها بسیار بده. دشمن اتفاقا دنبال همینه که
like these types of division, these types of infighting is so bad, and our enemies want this. Yes. He's talking about us, guys. We are your enemies, and this is what we want. He's right. He's like, this is what our enemies want, and yes, we're loving it. Your enemies are loving it.
اختلافات رو جدی بکنه در درون جامعه. و من اینجا اعتراف کنم 70-80% نکاتی که نقدایی که دوستان خودمون دارن به آقای قالیباف وارد نیست.
Like I have to admit, 70 to 80% of the criticism people have to Galibov are wrong. It's very interesting because he's from the Paidari camp, not from the Galibov camp. And he's defending Galibov and he's telling his own camp people that your criticism, 70 to 80% of your criticism against Galibov is incorrect.
از ناحیه به نظرم چون توجه ندارن، اطلاعاتشون ناقصه.
Like these people are not paying attention, they don't have the correct information.
تو مجلس هم یه نامه رو بعضی از برادران جمع کردن خطاب به آقای قالیباف که شما خروجیش اینه شما جلوی شورای امنیت ملی وایستا.
Oh, he's saying that in the parliament, in the Majlis in Iran, the members of parliament, they actually got around together and they wrote a letter to give to Galibov, and then the main point of that letter was that you should stand up against Shuraya Aliyah Amniyat Milli, which is the Supreme National Security Council. What? The members of parliament, because Galibov said like, hey, my hands are tied. The Supreme National Security Council told me that we should not enforce this. And now the members of parliament are saying, okay, we'll stand up against the Supreme National Security Council. Guys, do you not know that the Supreme National Security Council is basically Khamenei?
بگو این قانون مجلس از به تعبیرشون این بود از حیثیت مجلس دفاع کنید، یعنی جلوی دبیرخانه شورای امنیت ملی وایستیم که چرا شما ابلاغ نمی‌کنید. بنده امضا نکردم اتفاقا.
And he says I as the member of parliament did not sign that letter.
اون تو بیرون پخش شد که دفاع از حجاب بود فلانی امضا نکرد. بنده این دعوا رو اصلا قبول ندارم.
And then he said there were some fighting, there were people fighting outside. regarding that why like some people didn't sign this letter, you guys don't want to enforce the hijab laws.
فعلا نباید دو قطبی
But I'm not going to sign these letters because it's going to cause division. We shouldn't cause these
در
divisions.
بستر جامعه انجام بشه. این
Guys, like, do the members of parliament in Iran don't have access to Wikipedia? Maybe somebody should tell them, somebody should send them this that I like guys, not this one, this one. Somebody should send them this page. It's written in Persian, guys. You could read it. I mean, it's not written in Persian here, but you can get it in Persian, and it will tell you very explicitly and directly that it is based on everything that this council does is based on, is verified and confirmed by the supreme leader. So why are you taking a position against this council? It's right here. It's in Persian, and it goes over details here as well. You could read all of this shit. So you guys are taking a position against the supreme leader. It's written here, right in Persian. تایید سید علی خامنه‌ای رهبر جمهوری اسلامی ایران. What's wrong with you? You don't have that power. Okay, let's continue.
گاهی اوقات اشکال میکنن. من دیدم دوستان همین ایام گفتن مگه آقای نوی مگه خودت تصویب نکردی؟ چرا؟ ما بودیم که تصویب کردیم لایحه افاق.
Like some people ask me as the member of parliament, then آقای نبوی, Mr. Navabi, what didn't you pass the hijab law, those aggressive hijab laws? You were one of the people who passed that law. So why now that it's not being enforced, why are you not upset that it's not being enforced? Like, shouldn't you actually be standing with us to make sure that this law that you signed be enforced?
حجاب را میگم ابلاغش به خاطر توی کلیپ اول گفتم مشکلاتی که تو کشور وجود داره نباید کشور مشتعل بشه و دشمن بتونه سوء استفاده کنه.
Like, yeah, I passed that law, but given the conditions that we have, it shouldn't be enforced because the conditions that we are right now in Iran.
1401 دو قطبی سازی ممنوع.
Things could happen like what happened in the year 1401, which is basically based on the Iranian calendar. This is the Iranian calendar. It was the year where the national revolution sparked by Mahsa Amini's death happened. Like, based on those, he's saying, like, this shows the fear of the Iranian people. They don't want to enforce it because they don't want another wave of protest like it happened after the death of Mahsa Amini to happen again. Because if they enforce these laws, somebody somewhere is going to do something and somebody's going to get injured and somebody's going to die, right? Like, it's impossible for them to be able to enforce these laws without causing tensions between the enforcer of hijab and the Iranian people. And somebody's going to get injured, somebody's going to die, and it could cause a wave of protest. And when they tried to enforce it, another girl died. And they really tried to shut that all down and make sure the news about it doesn't go. And they were terrified. And like, apparently, there's no way for us to enforce these laws without causing injury and death. Apparently, there's no way to do that. And because people are going to get angry with each other, and it's going to, and if that happens, people are going to get so angry, and we cannot tolerate another wave of, like, the Iranian regime is still deeply wounded from the protests that happened after Mahsa Amini was killed. Okay, so it's still severely injured because of all of that, and they're like, okay, we cannot go through another wave of that. That's why they're not enforcing it.
1401 دو قطبی سازی ممنوع.
So it's amazing that he's saying the quiet out part out loud. He's saying, like, the events that happened after Mahsa's death. He doesn't mention her name, obviously. He just mentions the year that but the things that happened.
کلیپ اول گفتم مشکلاتی که تو کشور وجود داره نباید کشور مشتعل بشه و دشمن بتونه سوء استفاده کنه مثل 1401 دو قطبی سازی ممنوع.
So he's saying, like, the enemy will basically come and misuse our division in the way that they misused it in the year that Mahsa was killed, okay, without mentioning your name. So I don't know, when he says the enemies will misuse it, are you talking about the Iranian people? Are you calling the Iranian people the enemies, the people who were protesting? Or are you talking about America, like, coming out and, like, doing manipulating things behind the scenes?
روزم مقام معظم رهبری تاکید فرمودن دو قطبی سازی ممنوع.
Like, and our supreme leader, our great supreme leader, also came out and says that you do not cause divisions. Like, this is an order from the supreme leader.
نکته بعدی که میخوام اینجا عرض بکنم اینه که اینم توجه بکنید. این که من گفتم اینا کار تندرویی مثلا و آدمای تندرو این کارو
He says, I also want to mention here again, when I said that these people who are doing these things are radicals,
تجمع در جلوی مجلس انجام دادن توجه بکنید.
the people who are coming and protesting in front of the parliament.
من مرادم اونایی که اونجا تجمع کردن نبود. مرادم
Oh, he's confirming again. He's clarifying. Like, sorry, like I wasn't talking about the actual people who were protesting in front of the parliament. Apparently, people are really attacking him for saying that.
چی بود؟ مرادم اونایی این چند ده نفری که هستن.
He's not talking about like 10 like around 10 people
ساماندهی میکنن. اینا آدمای تندرویین.
who are organizing this. Okay. He said
اونایی که اومدن من با اونا کاری ندارم. اونا آدمای خیلی بهتر از بنده هستن.
Like the people who came in front of the parliament and protested, there are people even better than I am. There are people better than me.
اما اونایی که ساماندهی میکنن اونا چه کسانی هستند؟ خیلی جالبه.
But who are these people who are organizing these protests? That's very interesting.
دوستان انقلابی ما یادتون رفت
like our revolutionary friends.
همین افراد در باب تأخیر 2 ماه در عملیات وعده صادق 2 چه حرفایی زدن؟
These are the very same people who said basically bad things, or basically what did these people say when the operation Honest Promise 2 was delayed for just only a few months? Like basically saying that these are the same people who were taking against a harsh position against the regime because of the delay in the operation Honest Promise 2 against Israel.
گفتن دولت‌های پزشکیان مانع هست.
These are the same people who said that it's the Pezeshkian administration, the government by the Pezeshkian, the president, he's stopping the operation Honest Promise 2.
گفتن جلوتر اومدن گفتن قالیباف مانع هست.
And they also said Galibov is stopping it. They said Pezeshkian, the president is stopping it, or Galibov, the head of the parliament, is stopping it.
جلوتر اومدن گفتن که نه، نیروهای فرماندهان نظامی مثل آقای حاجی زاده، مثل آقای سلام، اینا عافیت طلب شدن.
Oh, and some of these radicals, they even came out and said that the heads of IRGC, like Haji Zadeh and Salami, these are people who have became self-interested, and they are even the ones who are stopping Operation Honest Promise 2.
جلوتر اومدن گفتن فقط بیانیه میدن، کاری انجام نمیدن.
These are the same people who used to say that the regime, these officials of the regime, they only put out statements. They don't do anything meaningful against Israel.
یا میگفتن اگه زودتر انجام میشد اصلا به شهادت نمیرسید.
Or they said that if we had done these operations earlier, Sayyid Hassan, meaning Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, who was killed by Israel, these are the people who say that if the Iranian regime got their revenge of Israel earlier, then Nasrallah would be alive today, because Israel wouldn't have dared killed Nasrallah if you did the operations Honest Promise earlier instead of delaying it so much.
مقام معظم رهبری مستقیما چند روز قبل اینا همه رو جواب دادن.
And then after they all said that, the supreme leader came a couple of days ago and responded to all of these claims.
اینا حرفا کذب محضه.
And the supreme leader said that all of these were lies. They were all completely wrong.
چرا اینجوری تندرویی میکنه؟
Yes, he's actually right about that, because I remember I follow a lot of hardliner videos on social media, and I remember this because like a lot of YouTube channels and Telegram channels that I watch, they were saying that, oh, Pezeshkian is not letting the operation Honest Promise happening, or this guy is not letting it, they're not going to happening it. And the supreme leader came and said that Pezeshkian is completely in line with us, and he congratulated Pezeshkian. Khamenei congratulated Pezeshkian, and he said so many nice things about him. And I remember so many of those channels the day after they folded, and they said, no, if the supreme leader says, then we were wrong, we take it back. Okay, so many of them folded, like whatever the supreme leader says. And now he's reminding us, this guy is reminding us that, remember these hardliners that were saying these things and they were wrong. Khamenei said that they were wrong. So if they were wrong then, they're wrong now too. So please, like he's like, guys, please listen to your supreme leader. That's what he's saying.
همینا در مورد وقتی ما این حرفا رو میزنیم در مورد عملیات وعده صادق 3 چی میگن؟
Like now they're saying the same things about Operation Honest Promise 3.
سلشکر باقری نمیذاره که این کار انجام بشه.
They're saying that now Bagheri, like the officer Bagheri, is not like before they were saying about other IRGC members, now they're blaming
حتما اینا
Bagheri.
رو شنیدید.
You have heard these. You have heard these
خب
accusations.
شما که به دولت اعتماد ندارید، به مجلس که اعتماد ندارید.
Like you guys do not believe, you guys do not trust the executive branch. You guys do not, basically the presidency. You guys don't trust the parliament. Of course you don't trust
قوه
it,
قضاییه
right?
که اعتماد ندارید. فرماندار
You don't believe, you don't trust the
نظامی
judiciary.
که قابل اعتماد نیستن.
You don't trust the leader, the IRGC heads, you know, the leaders of our armed forces. You don't trust them either.
این روحیه رو تو مردم
He's not talking to the Iranian liberal secular Iranian people. He's talking to the hardliners. He's talking like you guys, the religious people, right? So you guys obviously don't trust the presidency, the parliament, the judiciary, or the heads of our armed forces, meaning the IRGC.
آدم جا بندازه خیلی خوبه. اعتماد نیستن. این روحیه رو تو مردم آدم جا بندازه خیلی خوبه.
So is it good that you're spreading these types of views among our people? That even, like, imagine this, even the most hardliner of Iranians are spreading the idea that we cannot trust all of these people, right? This is why I'm telling you, the only thing that they trust is Khamenei. They don't trust the judiciary. They don't trust the presidency. The vast majority of Iranian people already never trusted these people. But among the religious people, the hardliners, now the very hardliners, now they also don't trust the judiciary, the parliament, the presidency, or the heads of the IRGC. The only person that they seem to trust, again, I say seem to because some people in the Paidari camp don't even trust Khamenei. But the only person that they seem to trust is Khamenei. And that's why I'm saying when Khamenei dies, the glue that is holding all of this together is going to evaporate and everything is going to fall apart. Right, but let's continue. But he's saying, like, what is this? Why are our own people? But when he says our own people, he doesn't mean the Iranian people. He just means the hardliners. He says, why is it that our own people are spreading this idea that you cannot trust any of these institutions?
اینا کار تندروییه. نباید
Like these are radical behavior. He's saying these are radical behavior. These are radical things to
این کار
do.
انجام بدید. حالا همینا چه کسانی بودن؟ من بعضیاشون رو میشناسم. فقط اجمالا میگم.
He like who are these people? Well, I know some of these
تو
people.
قضیه کرونا واکسن چقدر جلوی زدن واکسن وایستا.
Like these are the same people that when the coronavirus came, these people were against vaccines.
من به بعضی از اینا گفتم مقام معظم رهبری واکسن زده. گفت
Like I told these are the very same people that when we had the coronavirus, I told these very same people that our supreme leader took the vaccine. Our supreme leader took the vaccine.
بزنه. برای ما هیچ حجیتی نداره.
But these people told us that, okay, he took the vaccine. That doesn't change our view.
صریحاً من
Like he's shocked. He's saying that this is very radical, that these people so clearly and transparently said that the fact that our supreme leader took the vaccine doesn't change our view. He thinks that's such a radical thing to say. Because in their mindset, when the proxy of the hidden Mehdi says something, that is it. That is the last word on any matter. And he's shocked by the fact that some of these people back then when Corona was here, when I told them that our supreme leader took the vaccine, they said that doesn't change their mind about the vaccine. So he's reminding other hardliners that look how radical these people are. That the behavior of our supreme leader didn't impact. Or like they don't like. Oh wow! Look at this.
گفت بزنه. برای ما هیچ حجیتی نداره. صریحاً من تعبیری که اینا کردن تعبیر بسیار زشت رو نمیگم.
Like I wouldn't say the ugly words that they said, but that's exactly what they said.
جلو حرم حضرت معصومه اون وقتی که آقا خودشون اول فروردین همیشه تشریف می‌بردن حرم امام رضا برای سخنرانی.
So basically he's trying to show other radicals about how crazy these other radicals are. These radicals that are doing the protests in front of the parliament, he's trying to say like, listen, these people are lunatics, right? That's what he's doing.
نرفتن ایام کرونا. یه مقدار تو حرم رفتن محدودیت. نرفتن ایام کرونا. همیشه تشریف می‌بردن حرم امام رضا برای سخنرانی نرفتن ایام کرونا. یه مقدار تو حرم رفتن محدودیت ایجاد شد. اینا اومدن گفتن نه نباید محدودیت ایجاد بشه.
So he's saying that Khamenei, during when Corona was everywhere, like when during the pandemic, he's saying Khamenei said that some of the religious ceremonies or speeches that he was supposed to do, he didn't go to the shrines to do it because, and he was suggesting that we should, during these times, we shouldn't gather in the shrines. Because that's going to spread disease, right? That's what Khamenei said. Was suggesting that we should like reduce our visits to the shrines. These are the very same people who came out against that. They're like, no, we'll go to the shrines.
محدودیت ایجاد شد. اینا اومدن گفتن نه نباید محدودیت ایجاد بشه. همیشه تشریف می‌بردن حرم امام رضا برای سخن.
Khamenei himself would go to these shrines every year.
نرفتن ایام کرونا.
But he didn't during those annual events. He didn't go.
یه مقدار تو حرم رفتن محدودیت ایجاد شد. اینا اومدن گفت
like they put some limitations on going to the shrines, and these are the very same people who came out and say like there should be no limitations to going to the shrines, and they actually insisted on going to the shrines more. And actually, I showed you back then during pandemic, I showed you videos of these people not only going to the shrines, but to make a point that they do not accept any limitations on going to the shrines. They would lick the metals on the tomb of the shrine to show that they are not afraid of getting sick. And some of them would put their eyeballs on the metals of the shrine. They're like, look, we don't, no virus can, like, our imams will protect us. The shrine will protect us. We don't worry about any viruses, right? They will keep licking everywhere, the floor of the shrine, the metals of the shrine. Like, look, we don't care, right? So he's saying like, look, our supreme leader was putting limitations on shrine visits, and these people were like, yeah, what the hell? No, we're going to go, like, this is un-Islamic. We go to the shrine. And they were saying that there should be no limitations on shrine visits, and shrine pilgrimages. As like, oh, these, like, he's saying like, look, these are radical people. This is radical behavior. These are the type of behavior that will bring chaos.
چرا واکسن نمیزنی؟ گفت ما تحقیقات کردیم که نباید بزنیم اصلا.
Like, we asked them, why are you not getting the vaccine? They said that by the way, YouTube, we are not anti-vaccine, we're pro-vaccine here on this channel. Okay, I'm just telling our audience about what these lunatics were saying. It's like, we asked them, why are you not getting the vaccine? And they said that we did our own research and we realized that we shouldn't get the vaccine.
عجب. خب اگر هر کسی نسبت به کاری که مقام معظم رهبری انجام میده، من تو هسته‌ای بگم تحقیقات کردم، شما بگو در کرونا تحقیقات کردی.
Like, so you're going to ignore our supreme leader, or every one of us are going to go just do our own research? You have researched corona. Should I go do research nuclear, nuclear energy or nuclear science and do my own research?
حرف رهبری اعتبار نداره. آقا
And instead of trusting our leader, everybody's going to go do their own research.
حرف متخصصین رو گوش بدید.
Our supreme leader said that to trust the experts on this matter.
اینا همون افرادن که این کار رو هر
By the way, the supreme leader himself, who said trust the experts, by the way, he's acting like they are crazy, and the supreme leader is the wise one. Let me actually make it clear. The supreme leader, who was pro-vaccine, he was pro-Iranian made vaccine, and he said the American and the British made vaccines should be haram in Iran because those vaccines are designed to target the Iranian gene and kill the Iranian people. So that's their pro-vaccine stance. Khamenei, who was like, yeah, take this vaccine, he made it illegal to bring in the American-made vaccines, which were the British-made vaccines, to Iran. And eventually they brought it because the situation got so bad that they realized that they have to bring the American-made vaccines to Iran. But for a very long time, the Iranians didn't have access to vaccines because even though Khamenei was pro-vaccine, he was like, no, we will make our own vaccine in Iran. And it wasn't a good vaccine, really, compared to it was better than nothing, to be honest, but it was not as good as the American-made ones or the British-made ones, right? So he was crazy as well. He had this conspiracy theory that the vaccines that they made, the Americans, they made it so that everybody who gets it is okay, But anybody with the Iranian gene, as if there is such a thing as an Iranian gene, anybody with the Iranian gene that takes it, it will target them. That's what he said. He said that. Actually, to be fair, he said that maybe that could be the case. He didn't say that is the case. He could be he suggested that could be the case, so we shouldn't take it. Anyway. Also, there were so many mullahs in Iran suggesting that you should shove some. I'm kidding. Like I'm not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. روغن بنفش چی میشه بچه‌ها؟ There's this oil. There's this natural flower oil or something that you should shove it up your ass. I'm not kidding. The mullahs in Iran, the expert mullahs in Iran, they were suggesting that you should do that to cure your corona. That's what they said, right? What is it in English, guys? The thing that the mullahs in Iran said that you should shove this up your ass? Like somebody saying language, Armin. What language? This is an actual translation of what they said you should be doing. I'm not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. That's what they said. Okay.
یه بحرانی میخوان ایجاد بکنن. پس مرادم از اونایی که گفتم تندرویی کردن، نه اونایی که اومدن، اونایی که این کارا رو ساماندهی کردن که متاسفانه خروجیش اینه که اعتماد به هیچ کس نکنید دیگه، خودتون بیاید و
So these hardliners, he's saying what they're doing is causing something. They create the result of what they're saying is going to make nobody trust anybody. Like not only so, basically, he's saying these people not like they have gone beyond causing the idea that we shouldn't be trusting all of the the judiciary, the parliament, the presidency, and the heads of IRGC. They were even daring enough to suggest that we can't even trust the supreme leader. Yes. Sarah, what is that thing that the mullah said that you should shove up your ass to cure your corona? What was that? Yeah, oil banafshe, rogan banafshe. What is oil banafshe? They said that. Like, yeah, Mohsen, can you confirm to the people in the live chat that I'm not making this stuff up?
نظام قابل اعتماد نیست، نه مجلسش، نه دولتش، نه قوه قضاییش، نه سپاهش، نه فرماندهان نیروی انتظامیش. تو وعده صادق 1، وعده صادق 2، وعده صادق 3 متاسفانه کارهایی که انجام دادن این کارا اصلا نادرست بود. و السلام علیکم و رحمت الله.
Of violet oil. Yes, it was an Islam. It's a flower that creates an oil. I don't know how to make it, and it smells good actually. I mean, to be fair, it might not cure your corona, but your asshole will smell very nice. There are some benefits to it. You will have it has that benefit because it smells. Your asshole will start smelling like flowers. Okay, so let's look at this one. Yeah, violet flower oil. Yeah, exactly. It smells very good, to be honest. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's bad for your. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's more reasonable than drinking camel pee. Yeah, exactly. That's good. Yeah, actually, but they were saying that during Corona as well to drink camel pee. All right. So this is this is apparently one of the radical academics who's a teacher in some religious freaking university, and he's a speaker, and he's a social media religious Islamic influence in Iran. So let me just show you some of the reactions to what that mullah said. And also, yeah, so this is, let me do 2 short videos to see. I just wanted to make sure that I show you all the divisions between the hardliners in Iran so that you have the complete picture, and that would be it. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. And then I will read some of your comments. So there's just only 2 short videos left.
سلام، غروب آدینه 24 اسفند دمدمای افطار. یه نکته‌ای رو که می‌خواستم با شما در میون بذارم خیلی وقته. آیا جبهه انقلاب اینقدر بیکس شده که کسی حاضر نیست بیاد این انشقاقی که ایجاد شده رو رفعش کنه؟ خب میدونید.
He's like, I'm going to ask you a question. Is it so, have we gotten to a situation where the revolutionaries were the revolutionary camp, meaning basically the hardliners, the all the religious radicals, basically like our camp? He's saying, like, have we gotten so weak, so that there's no one among us to come bring us together and stop this infighting. So he's basically crying about the infighting among the radicals, Iranian hardliners.
حضور همزمان آقای قالیباف و جلیلی در انتخابات مثل سال 92 اختلاف برانگیز شد و
He's saying basically all of this started when Galibov and Jalili, so Jalili was the presidential candidate from the Paidari camp, right? He's like, this all started when both of them became presidential candidates in their recent presidential elections. They're like, during those elections, we turned on against each other because both Galibov, which is one of the hardliners, and Jalili from the Paidari camp, basically started all of this division. But by the way, he's wrong. He's wrong about this because the divisions were existing when I told you on this channel. They started years before the election. And I told you guys on this channel that something eventually is going to spark them coming out on the surface. So the election, the presidential election, where both of these candidates were against each other, that was that was the spark that eventually got this thing, all of this thing, to start coming into surface. But it was not the cause. He thinks it was the cause, but the cause is some. I already told you what the cause was on this channel many times. But this has started many years before that, so he's not aware. This was inevitable. Even if that election, even if you weren't in that election against each other, this would have happened eventually.
کار به جایی رسید که انقدر هوادار این دو نفر همدیگه رو کوبیدن که
He's like, during those elections, the supporters of Galibov and supporters of Jalili, they attacked each other so much. By the way,
امروز نتیجهشو دارید میبینید آقای
and now you're seeing the results of it today. By the way, guys, these people, when they talking about the revolutionary camp, they're talking about that's the only Iranian people that they care about. And now they're upset that those people are fighting with each other, right? Because they don't care about the Iranian people who are against the regime. They don't even consider them to be people. They don't consider them to be the part of the Iranian nation or regime. They don't even consider them, even though they're the majority of the Iranian. But even among the regime people, the reformers, they don't consider them to be revolutionaries either. When they say the revolutionary camp, they're only talking about the hardliners, which is themselves. And now they're fighting against each other.
25 ساله ما بنده خدا مجبوره بشینه یاسین تو گوش بعضیا بخونه که آقا مذاکره با آمریکا خوب نیست، آمریکا جایی رسید که انقدر هوادار این دو نفر همدیگه رو کوبیدن که امروز نتیجهشو دارید میبینید آقای 85 ساله ما بنده خدا مجبوره بشینه.
Like so we have gotten to a situation, this infighting, that our sir, meaning Khamenei, our sir who's 85 years old, has to come out and tell everybody, as if he's just talking to a wall, as nobody's listening to him, that we cannot be negotiating with the United States, we cannot be negotiating with Trump over the nuclear deal.
یاسین تو گوش بعضیا بخونه که آقا مذاکره با آمریکا خوب نیست، آمریکا دشمن ماست و نمیتونه.
That he's basically saying that the revolutionary camp is busy infighting, and it's the supreme leader, our supreme leader has to come out, and he is forced to come out and say, do our job for us, right? He is the supreme leader who has to come and say that, oh, America is our enemy, we shouldn't be negotiating with America. Like, why does he have to say it? He's 85 years old. Like, because he's basically suggesting that because the hardliners are fighting so much among themselves, the reformers are getting so much power that they're even now putting on the table negotiating with Trump. That shouldn't even be on the table. Like, where are we hardliners? Why does it take for our supreme leader to come and say that? Like, we're so busy fighting each other that we're not doing our job. That's what he's saying. Like, he's saying things that are so obvious, things that shouldn't even need to be said.
کلی هم براش هزینه تراشیده بشه. آیا کسی نیست این اختلاف رو حلش کنه؟
And he's saying our sir, our supreme leader is, our poor supreme leader is coming out. He's 85 years old. And this is so hard on him. Like, why is he has to come and say this? This is obvious. We should be saying this. And this is so costly to him at such an age. Like, what, like, guys, please put your divisions aside for the sake of our sir. He's like, come on, guys, put the division aside. We should be fighting the reformists. We should be fighting the Iranian people. We shouldn't be fighting each other.
آقایون نمیخواید دست بردارید از این لجبازیاتون با هم دیگه.
Like, please put your please put all this animosity aside so we could attack the Iranian people instead.
هوادارای این دو نفر نمیخوان بس کنن اختلافاتشون رو. به قول اون بنده خودمون گفت خدایا بس دیگه، بس.
Like, please stop it. Stop this infighting. Okay, let's watch this video of him. Like, بس دیگه. It's enough. He's saying it's enough. Like, stop this infighting.
سلام خداوند.
Guys, isn't it great that I have videos now to show you all the things that I told you that is happening? I have now videos to demonstrate that I have evidence. I'm so happy.
این نیم ساعت 40 دقیقه وقت ما گرفته شد برای کلیپ یه نماینده مجلسی که کلی
Oh, this is a reaction to the member of parliament Navabi that I just showed you. Okay, so now this video that he puts out is a reaction to this guy. Remember, I showed you the videos of this guys and analyzed them. This guy is now, so that was a member of parliament, and now let's see what he says here. Let's go back. This is a very short video, so let's just.
سلام خداوند. یه نیم ساعت 40 دقیقه وقت ما گرفته شد برای کلیپ یه نماینده مجلسی که کلی آسمون ریسمون به هم بافته بود که آقا علت تأخیر در اجرای قانون حجاب اینه که شورای عالی امنیت ملی به این نتیجه رسیده که آقا تحلیل دشمن بر اینه که نمیدونم شهید نصرالله رو زدن و نمیدونم شهید هنیه و شهید
he said we wasted 30-40 minutes of our time because of this video that came from this member of parliament. He's talking about the mullah that I just showed you. That came out with a video. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying that the reason behind not enforcing the hijab laws is because what? Because I have to remember the English version of this. The Supreme National Security Council had came out and said that we can't enforce this law because what?
نمیدونم شهید نصرالله رو زدن و نمیدونم شهید هنیه و شهید سنوار و این حرفا و
because they killed Nasrallah and they killed Haniya, Ismail Haniya.
الان وقت ابلاغ این قانون نیست و
so that's okay. I don't know if he's talking about the member of parliament that I showed you or another member of parliament, and that's why it's not the time to enforce this hijab law. Guys, did I not tell you that hijab in Iran and Israel are so connected and linked together? Did I not tell you on this channel? Huh? That the Iranian woman not wearing hijab is helping Israel, and Israel attacking the Islamic Republic is helping the Iranian woman. And these are two forces. These are the two blades of the same scissor cutting the head of the mullahs. Did I not say that? Did I not say this on this channel? A lot of people are like, how? Hijab in Iran? Israel bombing the mullahs? The IRGC? How is this together? How does this go together? Now this man is saying that the members of parliaments, I don't know which video is referring to, the video that I showed you, another video. One member of parliament at least came out and said that the reason why we cannot enforce hijab in Iran because Israel has killed Nasrallah and Ismail Haniya. And the Supreme National Security Council is saying under such situations, we cannot enforce hijab laws. First of all, this is now the time to say thank you, Israel. This is why I said to you that Israel attacking the Islamic Republic is a service, not just to the Israeli people, but to the Iranian people. Have I not been vindicated? Have I not said that this is why the Iranian people welcome Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic? Look at the connection here. The members of parliament in Iran are admitting that Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic makes the Islamic Republic unable to oppress the Iranian people. Thank you, Israel. Thank you, Israel. And thank you to these idiotic hardliners that is showing us, to the Iranian people, how much Israel is helping the Iranian people. How much Israel's attack on the Islamic Republic saves the Iranian people from the oppression of the regime. And how connected these things are, and how Iranian people are completely rational and justified to welcome any attack, including military attack, on their regime. So thank you, Israel. Give us more cutlets. We are running out of cutlets.
آن وقت ابلاغ این قانون نیست و موجب دو قطبی میشه و این حرفا. عزیزان خب حضرت آقا تو دیدار اخیرشون با دانشجو فرمودن که اگرچه نبودن این عزیزان خسارت محسوب میشه.
And like, so what he's saying, like, what he's trying to challenge that member of parliament. He says, like, listen, our agha. So it's interesting. Both sides of these arguments always quote agha, which means Khamenei, the current supreme leader, right? He's like challenging that member of parliament, like, but didn't our supreme leader say this? What did our supreme leader say?
فرمودن که اگرچه نبودن این
Yes, and also Saras, very good point. And bigger thank you to freedom fighting brave Iranian women and men, Sarah, correct? Thank you to the Iranian women who bravely take out their hijab, and also thank you to the freedom fighting Iranian men who defend these women and give their pay with their lives defending these women being able to take their hijab. Thank you both to the Iranian women and the Iranian men. All right, so let's. By the way, Netanyahu, by the way, to confirm what Sarah was saying, Netanyahu himself said as much as the Iranian regime is afraid of Israel, they're more afraid of the Iranian people. Because Bibi also said this, the very same thing that Sarah was saying. So what did Khamenei say that he is now going to use to challenge that member of parliament? You know how so many Sunni Muslims, when they fight each other, they're supposed to use Quranic verses to challenge each other, okay? But many times they quote Ibn Taymiyyah instead of the Quran to challenge each other. In the same way, many Shias, instead of quoting the Quran or Muhammad's hadith to challenge each other to who has the right position, these people, they quote Khamenei or Khomeini to challenge each other. So let's see his quoting of Khamenei to challenge that member of parliament.
تو دیدار اخیرشون با دانشجو فرمودن که اگرچه نبودن این عزیزان خسارت محسوب میشه، اما جمهوری اسلامی الان در نقطه‌ای که ایستاده قوی‌تر از سال گذشته است و به مراتب قوی.
So Khamenei said, like, why are you so concerned about Nasrallah and Ismail Haniyeh dying? Our supreme leader has said that even though these people were so important, and we're so upset that they're dead, like these were very important people and their loss will be felt. However, the Islamic Republic, the Islamic regime is now, I don't like to call it the Islamic Republic because it's not actually a republic. The Islamic regime is now at a much stronger position than where it was a year ago. Bullshit. Okay, so but Khamenei says, like, Khamenei always says bullshit like that. I mean, which predictions of Khamenei have came true for this to be the first one? He has famously very bad predictions. He's saying Khamenei, but Khamenei said that no problem. Nasrallah dead, we're stronger. Ismail Haniyeh dead, no stronger. In fact, the tree of our Islamic revolution only grows by the blood of our martyrs. So in fact, maybe they did us a service because it's the blood of these martyrs that makes us get faster, grow faster, get stronger, right? So why is this member of parliament saying that we shouldn't be enforcing hijab laws because of the death of Ismail Haniyeh and Nasrallah? We're stronger because of their death. Like, we're in a stronger position. Yeah, Mohsen, I hope so. So this is basically one punch in your mouth member of parliament who said that something like this. This is the first punch in your mouth. Like, come on, enforce it now. You don't have any other excuses. What other excuses do you have to enforce such a thing? To not enforce this law?
آیا وضعیتی که ما در حال حاضر هستیم بدتر از وضعیت اوایل انقلاب اوایل انقلاب چجوری بود؟
Oh, he's saying, like, guys, why are we not enforcing hijab laws? Weren't we in a worse situations in the beginning years of our revolution, the Islamic revolution of 1979? He's saying, like, the first few years of the revolution, we were in even more of a dire situation than we are right now. But we enforced the hijab laws then, so why are we not enforcing the hijab laws now? You know why, guys? Because that back then, your enemy was external. Now your enemy are the Iranian people. That's why this is actually a bigger threat. That's my answer to you.
فحشا نهادینه شده و بین مردم، ولی امام در مقابل منکر بی‌حجابی مثل کوه ایستاد.
So he's saying degeneracy was spreading all across society at the beginning of the revolution of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The people were degenerate everywhere. But our Imam Khomeini, the first supreme leader, he stood against all of this degeneracy like a mountain. That's what he said. Anyways, guys, do you not appreciate this stream? This was the epic, guys. This was a couple of books worth of material about the current situation of the infighting and the division in the politics in Iran. Like, if you guys watch this and you understand this stream and the streams that I did before this, you guys are more knowledgeable about the details of what's happening among the hardliners in Iran and the Iranian politics than the vast majority of not just people, but actually the experts in this field. So this is, yes, Sarah saying best AD ever. Thank you. Yes, this is this. So you have to, this deserves a like. You have to like the stream. Give me an AD. AD is like the gift that people give each other during New Year's and stuff. And right now I'm Iranian. Today is Iranian New Year. So give me the gift of a like for this amazing stream that I brought to you guys, right? Let me see. Sarah highlighted, start some comments for me to read. Muhammad saying, Armin, one day can you give a breakdown of all Shia sects and differences, etc., unless you already done it? Yeah, maybe that would be an interesting stream. It's just that the main ones we already know about, right? Yeah, maybe I'll do that. It will take only like 10 minutes, but yeah, sure. Just know that the main individuals when it comes to religious authorities in Shia Islam is Sistani in Iraq and Khamenei in Iran. That is the basics that for now you have to understand. Sistani and Khamenei. And also there's the Shirazis. That's a whole other poison. But then we also have non-Esna Ashari, non-12er Shia Islams, like the Alawites in Syria, or there's the Houthis, for example. Okay, but yeah, and a lot of people don't consider Alawites to be Shia, but the Islamic Republic, the Islamic regime considers them to be Shia for their own purposes. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that, but maybe that would be a good stream. Muhammad is saying, I don't know, that would be okay. Muhammad is saying to all the Iranians in the chat, what is the Shia equivalent to the Hadith collections like Bukhari or Sirah collections like Suratul Rasulullah by Ibn Hisham? Okay, so there is a book called Coffee. Okay, but most Iranians don't actually know about that. The one that is famous is the Nahj al-Balagha, but the main source is supposed to be the Coffee collection. But the most famous and their most revered one is Nahj al-Balagha, written by Imam Ali. If anybody wants to correct me on that, let me know. Oh, Carl is saying, Carl just sent a super sticker. Thank you, Carl. That's very nice. That's very sweet. Kaz Hall is saying, is that the book which Khomeini has mentioned? No. Okay, so Khomeini, is that Khomeini? Are you saying Khomeini there? Khomeini has many books. And he also, in one of his books, he has something worse than sex with camel. Khomeini has clarified in his book that you're allowed to have, again, sex, I'm trying to get not canceled here, with, again, I'm not kidding here, I'm not joking, this is directly written in his book. Maybe one day I'll do a stream on that, but I might get canceled if I do that, okay? With infants, not just children, but infants. Khomeini has that in his book and has been published by the Islamic regime and has been stamped and verified that this is his writing, and they don't even hide this, okay? And Khomeini, we're not talking about 9-year-olds or 6-year-olds, okay? Khomeini in his religious book has said that it's allowed to do it even with infants, and as long as you do not do intercourse, but you do something called, what is it called, guys, in Arabic, the thing that you're allowed to do? So the translation is yes, you're right, is thawing basically means that with an infant, because it could harm her body, you do not do intercourse. What you do, again, YouTube, I'm just telling people what Khomeini said. I'm not saying that this is okay. Okay. You basically put your, you know what? Again, I'm trying not to get canceled by YouTube's algorithm. Okay. In between her thighs of an infant, and you just squeeze it there. Okay. So you don't do intercourse because it's too small. It's not 9 for intercourse. You have to wait until 9. Oh yeah, Sarah, it's called. But for other sexual behavior, apparently you could do this thing called takhfiz, which is basically thawing. Takhfiz, yes, takhfiz. See, Iranians in the chat know what I'm talking about, and this is written in Khomeini's book. That this is what you're allowed to do, lapai, between the legs. What you're allowed to do to an infant, to a female infant, not a child, an infant. This is the supreme leader, the first supreme leader. These people are quoting that man as their source of their religious. Yeah, it's so weird. I still can't believe that people actually still follow that guy as a religious leader, knowing that he said that. Oh, FLP saying that's when I know it's a good live stream. I follow Armin's scroll. Ew, no, what the no, what? No, that was I thought that. Yeah, takhfiz. It's gross, guys. I know. I'm sorry. I ruined this. I ruined the end of the stream by this disgusting teaching by these disgusting people. Disgusting. Richard is saying, how do people follow this stuff? Rich is saying, Armin, sometimes you over-explain as if your listeners are idiots. It's insulting. No, Richard, you're being insulting to our listeners. These are, first of all, we're having fun here together. Sometimes we just like to talk about things over and over because we're just gathering around. This is not like an edited video that is like complete designed to just be like a 10-minute video that gets to points. You know, we're just having fun here. This is a live stream. Richard, our listeners are not are idiots, but you seem to be close to one if you don't understand how live streams work. Live streams are mostly us get around. Maybe you're new to live streams. You're confusing edited videos with live streams. Live streams is we're gathered around and we talk about these things as if we're sitting around to get around each other in a living room, you know, and talking about stuff. All right. So don't assume that I'm considering other people to be idiots. Okay. You might be more closer to that than you're accusing me thinking of our audience. Okay. And it's not insulting at all. Also, a lot of these things are complicated, and I also checked with my chat because these are the first time that they're being introduced through, and they say like, oh, I was when I repeat something in a different way is because I saw somebody justifiably be confused by it and tell me in the live chat I didn't understand, this is complicated, so I explained it in a different way. So please stop insulting our live chat because these things are confusing and they need to be explained in different ways. And don't and stop being an idiot, Richard, by assuming you know better how to do a live stream. Satiric Talks is saying, hey, can you make my new account mod, Armin? It's Satiric Games. Well, I mean, I only make accounts that are. Well, I don't know which account this is. I cannot verify that this is the same account or which account you're referring to. So yeah, don't guys. If moderating stuff, talk to other mods here to figure out what's happening because I cannot be. I don't know what's happening. Okay, and I cannot verify what's happening here. Like tell to other mods something that they could talk to me about moderating stuff after the show, not during the show. Purple Pulp is saying Prime Minister Netanyahu said Happy Nowruz to the Iranian people and Persians everywhere. Video from 2 hours ago. Okay, guys, like please understand that the Iranian people are not just Persian. Okay, so I don't know what he said, and I appreciate the Happy Nowruz part. That's very welcome, but please do not use the word Persian for the Iranian people. Only half of Iran is Persian. So we want to be inclusive to all Iranian people, not just the half that is Persian. Okay? So when we say Persians, Oh yeah, never mind. Actually, I take that back because he's no. I take that back. Because he's saying Persians everywhere. So he's actually this is actually being inclusive because he's saying Iranians and Persians who are not Iranians. I take that back. This is actually more inclusive because Nowruz is not just for Iran, it's for Persian people and Kurdish people within Iran and outside of Iran. Okay, Purple Pup, I take that back. This is actually a more inclusive language than I misunderstood, and I appreciate that. That is very inclusive. Thank you. So that was good, actually. So because not all Iranians are Persian, true, and not all Persians are Iranians. There are Persians outside of Iran who are not Iranian. So that is, and they celebrate Nowruz. Cat Lover saying, Armin, did you see the people's chants about Reza Pahlavi in Takht Jamshid? Yes, Cat Lover. And the next Persian stream, we are going to be covering that. And Reza Pahlavi's New Year message. And now that I hear that Netanyahu had a New Year message, I'm going to find that and include it as well. So Cat Lover and other Persian-speaking people in the chat, our next stream on the Persian channel, guys. If you speak Persian, the link to our Persian channel is in the description. So go look that up. So we're going to be covering that on our Persian channel, right? So FLP is saying, talking about your hair, man. Okay, so I don't know what I misunderstood what that was. Sorry. I didn't read it properly. Sorry, FLP. FLP, I really appreciate your messages. Okay, I didn't mean to. If I misunderstood, okay. No, thank you. I highlighted it because you talked about my hair, and I appreciate that. I appreciate people who compliment me like that. So thank you. So thank you, FLP. Sorry. Sometimes I read something and I misunderstand, and then, but people correct me right away. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to highlight it. Guys, moderating stuff, talk to the admins in the chat, okay? Especially people who are involved in highlighting. For example, Sarah, Jean, Sohail. Sohail could be admin here. But okay, I'll do that later. Anyways, guys, like the stream, share the stream, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification, recommend this channel to your friends and your enemies, to gens, human, and angels, to pets. No, not to pets. But everyone else, anybody else that could understand this channel, please suggest this channel if it's safe for you. And also, appreciate all the financial support, but please understand that financial support is only for people who are financially secure in a secure place and safe. Okay, and the best way to financially support us is to become a member, become a YouTube member, and we are trying to get to 250 members. Okay. Before I go to 1,000, let's try to get to 250. And last time I checked, we were at 240. So I have to check again later to see where we're at. Let me actually check right now. We are at, because there's a delay in counting. Like whenever we get no memberships, it doesn't get. We're at 260. Guys, last time I checked, we're at 240. We're at 260 members. Guys, next goal is at 500. We're at 260. Let's get it to 500. We already passed our 250 mark. Guys, get us to 500 members. Thank you so much for all the people who are members. So if you become a member, thank you for that. Okay, thank you. And also FLP is a member. FLP is saying, thank you, Armin, and all. It's always great being with everyone. Well, thank you, Gengo, and everybody else. And Sohail, I will make you an admin after the stream is over. And also the other person who wanted to be an admin, please talk to other admins so it could be verified and stuff like that. All right, guys. Bye. Like the stream.